Man, well, thanks. That was fucking beautiful, dude. Well, hey, folks. Thanks for tuning in for another episode of Casually Christian presented by Livestream My Event. And if you guys get the time, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That will really help us out a lot. So, with that said, the person who was playing the guitar is one of my friends. He's an actor. He's been in a number of productions on and off the screen. Byron Vasquez Jr., right? I said it right?
Yes, you did. It's not Vasquez.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, because I messed up in my TikTok thing, and it took me like 20 tries to get that right, and I still messed up your name, and I fucked up.
At first I thought, did I hear that right? No, I must be hearing things, and so I sent the video to a friend of mine. He was like, hey, he said Velasquez. I'm like, damn it.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe people, because like sometimes I mumble.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Maybe we could pretend it's just mumble.
That's true. Yeah.
But anyways,
That's right.
But you know what? Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah.
I really appreciate it that you took a little time of your Saturday to just talk about your acting career, man.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
And it's been a while.
Let's get the
Yeah.
mic going closer to his face.
Oh,
I
yeah.
can listen to his beautiful voice.
There you go. It's okay, man.
Is that it?
Live.
It's live,
It's
but you know
live.
what? This is all organic.
I think this is
Oh, there you
it is.
go. Yeah, there you go.
Okay, there we go.
Is that good now?
That's good.
Awesome.
All right, cool. No, it's all right. It's cool. We're moving forward. But yeah, man. Like we haven't seen each other since the pandemic, and
Yeah, it's
I
been
would
a
say
while.
about
About a year.
A
ago, maybe?
year.
A year ago.
Yeah,
we had
man.
lunch at. Where did we have lunch at?
we had the lunch. I don't know, but we went through all these crazy ways. But it was like it was to me because I grew up in Norwalk. It was pretty classy.
That's right. It was.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
it was in Pasadena. That's right.
Yeah, it was Pasadena.
No, it's a nice restaurant.
But that was the last time, and we connected. And the reason I wanted to bring you on today, because not only because you're an actor, and I wanted to find out how the whole acting situation is with COVID right now. But also, like every time we get together, we have pretty good conversations, and we just kind of go on. And I think that will be pretty good today, you know. But all right, man, let's get started.
Sure.
So what I wanted to find out is your guitar. Like I know, like you started off as an actor, but you just barely picked up, playing an instrument. So I wanted to find out what made you want to, play the guitar opposed to like maybe like a saxophone or violin. But why a guitar?
A good question. My family, they're musicians. I'm the only actor in my family.
Yeah.
Everyone else, my oldest sister, she went to school to be a singer, and she played the clarinet, she played the guitar, she plays a little piano, and the rest of my siblings, they all sing, and I was always the actor. So anytime we would get together, like as a family, we would always get together and they would sing.
Yeah.
And I would just kind of sit there, and nobody cared about, like, I'm not going to do a monologue
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
my family, So I'm like, I don't fit in. And then, so that was always in the back of my mind. How do I connect with my family a little bit more, because acting is not their, what they're interested in. And then as an actor, it's hard to find work, and it's hard to be creative because you have to be given the opportunity to get the work. For instance, you have to submit to get an audition, to go to the audition, to be finally given the role. It takes so many portals to go through before you have a
different
chance.
steps, right?
Yeah, to be even to have a creative outlet. So I thought to myself, I needed another creative outlet. And what do I do? At the same time, when I was younger, I had a lot of different kind of activities I used to be involved in, but because of an injury, I couldn't do them anymore.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, like, what is the next step? Like, what is it that I do as a hobby for myself? And that's when I decided I'll buy a guitar. So it was like December 28th. I ordered it from Amazon. It arrived December 28th, and I said, all right, I'll start playing guitar, and just for the heck of it, And I started playing guitar. I started practicing every single day, and I realized, hey, like, I enjoy this a lot. I want to write songs. And when I finally was able to play like 3 chords on my guitar, I said, I'm going to write some songs. And I just started to really fall in love with the process of songwriting, not for any other reason than just for myself.
Yeah. It's therapeutic.
Therapeutic. And, it was a creative outlet that now I had something to do when I can't act, because I get really antsy when I can't act, when I'm not getting work. It's just like, oh, I want to do something creative, So then I pick up the guitar, and nobody can tell me that I can't. I don't have to audition for my guitar. I don't have to, have my agent submit me for a guitar. I could just go to my living room and just put out a pen and paper and just start writing songs. And the process of writing a song and completing it is so much faster than acting.
Really?
Yeah, because I can write a song in an afternoon, and then I could just take it to a producer and say, hey, I want, this is the instruments that I'm thinking of, this is what I want, can we make it happen? And then they'll do it, and then it's done within like in a week.
It's like refreshing, like to see something to materialize instead of waiting for other channels to make it happen.
Because in acting, you have to have the writer, then you have the director who directs the project, and then you have to have the post-production. So there's so many steps that are in between. You start and you finish. Where music is just me and my guitar, and I have like a whole bunch of songs written. Do
you feel like it's more intimate with that?
With guitar writing?
Yeah.
Or songwriting?
Yeah.
Yes. I do feel it's more intimate, because when you're, as an actor, you're interpreting another character, right? You're interpreting another person's lines, another person's life. So I feel freer to do so much more, like, emotional exploration in acting. In songwriting, it's a lot more intimate, because now it's you.
Yeah.
Now it's me. Now it's like my personal life that I'm putting out there.
Yeah, it's like it's definitely like a part of yourself. Like you're being more vulnerable, because like instead it's like, oh, that's the character I'm playing. But when you're writing a song or doing something like with an instrument, it's part of your soul. It's part of you. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it hurts if somebody critiques it. You know what I mean? Because it feels like a personal attack. You know what I mean?
It feels
Sometimes
like a personal attack. Yeah, exactly.
Because people who've been watching, I'm a writer, and people critique my stuff, and I'm supposed to take it in the chin or whatever.
Right.
But it still hurts. You know what I mean? It still takes some time to mend your wounds, but in the end, don't take it personally, I guess.
Right.
But how long did it take you to actually write a song? Like, you had to learn the guitar, you had to learn the strings and all that stuff. But when did you feel comfortable to actually like put your thoughts on paper and then do some, to play something?
Good question. It wasn't very much long after. I think it was maybe like 3 months into guitar playing. I picked up the guitar December. I think by like February, I was already had a song. Yeah,
man.
And then only because I had my older sister. She played other instruments. Obviously, studied music more in depth than I have.
Did she help you out?
She helped me out unknowingly.
Just hold it this way. Did she tell you how to hold
well,
the
that's what I was
guitar?
going to tell you, was that she had written her first song when she knew 3 chords on a guitar. And so I said, well, if she can do a song in 3 chords, I can do in 2. So I had like the G and the C and the D, right? And so I'm like, I'm going to write a song with those 3 chords. And I just kind of wrote a crappy song, but I was proud of it.
You're proud of it, yeah.
I was proud of it. It was like the first song that I wrote, and it was in February. And so by the 8th month, I went to my first songwriters retreat, and I had already had like 5 or 6 crappy songs.
That's all right, man. But I remember you posting that you went to a writing retreat. Like, how did that go, man?
It was great. So that whole year was really interesting, because I started December 28th, and then of 2015. So by 2016, I was really getting into playing guitar, and I was playing every day. I would wake up in the morning, practice guitar, go to work, come back, practice guitar hours on end, right? And then I was listening to Pandora, and I was cleaning in my apartment while listening to Pandora, and this song came on, and it stopped me dead in my tracks. It was by this artist, Gregory Alan Isaacoff, who's like this big influence in my life. And it was at that moment that I realized, like, I want to write songs like kind of in this kind of vein, in this style. And that's when I discovered, like, let me find other places that I can kind of express myself or meet other people who like this folk style music, which you don't often find in Southern California. And so I wanted to improve myself as a songwriter. I'm very, even in anything I do, I'm very technical. I like to learn the technique and improve my technique. So I figured I need to find a place to go and improve. And I saw this little ad on Instagram that said, like, songwriter retreat in Ojai or California. But they were too expensive, and I found another place in Yosemite. And they gave a scholarship out for students. You just had to write like a little paper as to why you should be given the scholarship, and so I submitted it, and they gave me the scholarship for the songwriter retreat. And so I took the I wanted to make an adventure out of it, so I got an Amtrak ticket, and I took Amtrak all the way up north, and well, it was Amtrak. Well, it was a bus to Amtrak, and then Amtrak a couple hours, and then another bus to the mountain, and then hitchhiked.
Hey, were you worried when you're going through the Amtrak? It's like, oh, because like I'm a paranoid. Every bad scenario, I always think about like, oh, this is where it's gonna turn around. And did you get anxious about that? Because I hate flying. I would rather drive anywhere.
Definitely.
Did you feel anxious on that?
Yes and no. You see, the thing is, my mom, when I was like 23, we all took this family vacation to New York City, and then at New York, we took Amtrak up to Niagara Falls, and so I had already been on Amtrak.
So you're used to it already.
So I had experience on it, but I've never been on it by myself, except for like for fun. I would take Amtrak from like downtown Los Angeles to Fullerton, because they have like a bar on Amtrak. No, because you can take Metrolink. But I decided to take Amtrak, which is a little bit more expensive, but there's a bar on Amtrak. So you
pregame it, right?
Exactly. So you just like kind of drink on it. You just feel cool. Anyway, so I took Amtrak to Yosemite, and it was a little bit anxious.
Anxiety, like were you intimidated?
Anxious. A little bit, only because I was traveling like at 2-3 in the morning. You know, at the first it was a bus I had to take to Bakersfield. And then I had to wait at the Bakersfield station for like an hour or so for my bus to come, and then the train would take me to Merced. So I'd have to get off at Merced, and then I would just have like an hour to kill, and I didn't know what I was doing.
That's really cool, man. Like, that's something I need somebody to go with me, because I think I would get lost and get murdered if I go if I go on my own. And like, oh, they said it was goes like, well, why do you guys want my wallet?
Like, how do I show you?
I'm like, no, I need somebody to go with, and that's very admirable that you do it on your own. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Yeah,
especially when you went. Well, we'll get to it, but like you went to a trip to Europe. You went on your own. That was fucking fantastic.
Yeah, thank you. You know, like, going back to that trip, it's scary at first, you know, and I do get anxious, especially traveling alone. And at the time, I traveled with family, and when I do travel by myself, I travel to meet people that I know or friends or family. So I that was one of the first experiences I had, traveling by myself to a destination that I had no clue where. And I think that was where I was more intimidated by the fact that I'm going to this retreat. I've only been playing guitar for 8 months. I have this like 3 crap songs that that I'm taking to this retreat. I don't know what I'm going to meet out there. The level of skill, I have no idea.
If they're going to accept you and all that stuff.
Exactly. Are they going to be nice? I mean, are they going to be judgmental? The level of skill. I've never. So before that, I never had any music in my life, except for maybe like 2 years when I was in elementary school. I played the trumpet, and like maybe the accordion I played for like a few months. But that
I played the accordion too when I was a kid. Yeah. Hey, did the guy go down your house? And
he came to my house.
Yeah, that was me too, man.
Yeah, he came to my house. But I mean, like, that was so long ago that it didn't leave any indelible mark in my life as far as music or anything was. So I don't count that. But after that, I had never had any sort of music, never had any songwriting, nothing. Didn't sing, don't sing really well. But I always knew that I wanted to. I knew there was a part of me that said, I want to write an album one day. Like, I want to do something musically. So when I went to the retreat, that was the intimidating part. It was exciting taking the train, talking to strangers that you don't know, but it was intimidating going there and seeing like who is going to be there and who am I going to room with, and it was like the first day of school.
Did you have a roommate there?
Yeah, because I got the scholarship. There was different kind of like like rooms. You can have single room, like a partner room, or you have like the poor ones or whatever.
Yeah.
Where it's like 7 people in a room.
Yeah, like fucking Titanic and shit.
Yeah. So exactly. I was like the Irish Cross.
Yeah,
So that's where we were at, in like the room for the 7, because I got the scholarship, and so I didn't know who who was going to be there, and it was interesting to find out when I got there. It was a lot of people who were older, so a lot of senior citizens were there.
So do you feel like they gave you like a good guiding hand since they were older?
Yes.
You know what I mean? They didn't come with like some that swagger. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely.
It was like, hey, buddy.
Yeah, definitely. No, so it was interesting because I went 2 times, right? So the first experience was exactly like that.
Mm-hmm.
The people that were there were so welcoming, so friendly, so and knowledgeable. They were so talented musicians who had a lot of musical knowledge, and that's when I realized, guitar is not just learning a chord progression. It's learning a lot about music. It's learning scales. It's learning music theory, and these musicians had that. And I noticed that once the musicians that know music theory, the musicians that have a lot more in-depth knowledge of music, they're so much better. They have so much more richer talent and skill. And so I learned that, so I had that experience, and they were just really friendly. But there was one lady there, she wasn't as talented, but she was still so friendly and still so gutsy, and she'll put her music out there, and we became like a little group of like a family, you know. And I had my first song that I had written, and so within the weekend you take these workshops, right? And then evenings you go to this every lunch and dinner you have open mic, except the Saturday night you have this huge concert where all the songwriters can go perform their song, and you can collaborate with whomever, and you can put on a song, At the time I took one workshop, which was a co-writing workshop, and I met this gentleman from Montreal who was doing he wanted to take the chords progressions from a song that he liked and turn it into like a little pop rock song, and we were together in the co-writing class, and so we liked where we were going with the song that we were writing there, because I had written lyrics there at the retreat, but just I didn't know what to do with them, and so he came with me with the chord progression, so I thought, let's mold this together in the class. So we decided to just keep working on that after the class and throughout the weekend. But it's funny because I like to take advantage of my time as much as I can. So as I was rehearsing with him, I was also rehearsing with 2 other people, and to perform the song that I had written for the open mic night on that Saturday evening. So, and I had gotten like a violinist, I had gotten a stand-up bass player, I gotten a banjo player to perform my song.
So you guys all jammed out like the pre-rehearsal, like you guys got together like in a room and just
in our bedroom, because we were most of them were all my roommates and stuff. So I invited them over to the room, and we would rehearse the song, but in little pockets of time, right? Yeah. So like 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and I was rehearsing with the other guy or working with the other guy for like hours, and in like the few minutes I had, available to me, I would find little pockets of time. So the evening came, and I finally performed for the first time ever, I think, at open mic. I got up to stage and I performed like the song with the band, with the violinist and everything. It was an incredible experience. And I came off the stage, and my partner was like, "How did you find time to rehearse with the band?" Well, you were with me the entire day.
Yeah. See, that's moxie, dude.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I don't know. I just, I find the time to.
Yes, you're driven for it. You know what I mean? Right. And do you feel like your acting helped you do that?
No.
No. It's like so it's like it was 2 separate things. Like for you, like the art, like I guess the musician and the acting were like separate for you.
For me, yes. Yeah. And I'll tell you why, because like I told you earlier, acting is, you can get lost within the character, and I don't have to worry about like what's going on, because it's not me. It's whomever I'm playing, and I feel so free to be as emotional or whatever I want to be within the character. When I'm performing music, I'm like staring straight at the audience, and I'm playing my song, and that was a lot more nerve-wracking, than it is. I mean, I get nervous doing acting theater live, but once I'm in, like, I've always likened it to a roller coaster, where you're behind the stage and you're like, okay, we're gonna go up.
Yeah, the anxiety.
Like, oh my gosh, and you're opening, and then like you're on the ride for like when you're actually doing the scene, and so you get lost within that. And once you finish, you're like, let's do it again.
Did you feel like you rushed it when you were singing on stage? Like you kind of like you were so nervous that you just wanted to get it over with? Because I was going like. I started doing stand-up this year before it turned into shit, before like the pandemic thing, because my plan was to do stand-up once a month, for the whole year, so I'll be 12 performances, but I only did it in January. but once I was on stage, I just wanted to get it done. I was so fucking
Yeah.
terrified and shit. Just seeing all those fucking like faces just looking at me, I was like, what is this guy saying? You know, it was just like, because I never done anything like that.
Yeah.
To see, you know, to be in stage with the lights just bearing down on you,
Right.
and the only people that I saw was just like the people in front, and everybody
Right.
else was just all, it was just black.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is crazy.
Right.
Like, I can't believe I'm doing this, and I just wanted to get it out of. I was going through my lines like really fast,
Right.
and it was very awkward. And but I learned a lot from that
Right.
experience, because now like when I do that again, I'm gonna just concentrate on the punchlines, because I was doing something called acting it out, where you're acting this, like the person that you're portraying. You know what I mean? So I was doing different voices, and it came out as it came out awkward. You know what I mean? But I did have some good jokes. But the good
Yeah.
jokes were the ones that had a setup and a punchline, and I got
Right.
some laughs
Right.
instead of those awkward stares. But that reminded me of like my brief time
Yeah.
in front of the stage.
Stand-up comedy's hard.
Yeah, it is
It's
hard.
It's
Yeah.
hard. I've had a few friends. That
Oh
try
my
to
God,
go
there
into
is
that.
this. Because I went to this place where it was for like new beginners.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm not gonna fucking go to the comedy store.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Nah. But there's this one lady. It sounded like she was petrified being on stage. She was like her voice was all shaking, and she was
It's
like,
scary,
yeah,
isn't it,
yeah. I
on
was like,
stage?
and her voice was all shaking and trembling, but she was telling jokes, but nobody was laughing because she was all
Yeah.
terrified.
It's tough.
Yeah, and it just reminded me like your time doing that. You know, your singing. It
Yeah.
reminded me of my little experience in front of the stage.
Yeah, no, it's tough. It's the thing is that people don't realize it's not tough telling a joke. It's tough telling a joke under pressure.
Yeah.
And that's what happens when you're on stage. You have
Yeah.
pressure.
Got 5 minutes, man.
Yeah, it's pressure, right? I mean, you have people want to laugh,
Yeah.
and people are not laughing, and that adds even more pressure because you're like, okay, they're not getting the joke, or whatever. And yeah, I guess it's sort of in a way acting did help because I already have had stage experience.
Yeah.
And I've had so not to sidetrack, not to get too tangential, but when I was younger, I I used to do like hip hop dancing, and then
Yeah.
I did cheerleading for a couple of years. A lot of people don't know this about me, but
Yeah.
for 2 years I did cheerleading because I had gymnastics background. And people asked me, "Hey, can you?"
Yeah.
do
By the
college
way,
cheerleading?"
you have great skills, dude.
Oh.
I seen your videos, and man, and yeah, like in high school. Let's talk about your acting.
Yeah.
So in high school, did you want to be an actor,
Yeah.
or like
No,
that was like
No, that so if I can say anything at all about my life is that I knew I want to act. That's like the only thing I've ever.
Oh, it's like a
wanted to
definite
do.
thing,
It was
like,
definite
yeah.
since I was like. Since I can remember, I want to be an actor. I want to be an actor, but I didn't have a lot of support from my parents and my family.
Yeah.
They didn't really. Want
I mean, you
that.
would think. Because like they were musicians, right? I mean, like they
My
play the
father was,
instruments.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's performing. I mean,
It is, but to them it was different.
Yeah.
It wasn't my
Because
dad
you're
didn't-
still getting gigs. You know what I mean? You're still
Yeah.
trying to secure
Yeah.
shows. It's
But
just,
to my
you know,
father, my parents, both my parents had that. It was not really, for various reasons. My dad thought it was just a hobby. Music, you have to train, you have to practice. It's something you go to school for.
Yeah.
But acting at the time, they didn't realize that they thought no, it's just a hobby because they knew people that were actors and
Yeah.
they just did theater and they weren't successful at it, and so they were not as supportive at the time when I was younger. But I always knew I wanted to, and I had them take me to like the John Robert Powers thing where I
Yeah.
got to meet Topanga from Boy Meets
Oh,
World.
shit.
Yeah, so we were like in this
Yeah, with a bunch of kids and all that
bunch of
stuff.
kids,
Yeah.
so they brought us through, and I got to get her autograph and stuff, and nothing came out of that. And but I always wanted to pursue it, but for some reason, it's like life just didn't give me the opportunity to.
Yeah.
I took drama in high school, and for various reasons, I had to leave, and I auditioned for a play my sophomore year of high school, and it was called Noises Off. Didn't get it, and then I didn't audition for another play until my senior year of high school. Because I had left school for a couple of years, and I went back my junior year, but my senior year I auditioned for another play. It was Dracula, and right when 9/11 happened, so then they
Oh,
decided
wow.
the school was like, we're not going to do something that dark. So
Yeah.
all right, that was the end of my any kind of acting training in high school, and then I went to college, and I took like an acting class at the college, which is cool. I did the whole semester, and it was whatever, and
Well, like since you went to college, because I want to talk to you, because a lot of people don't know this, but you do sign language. Your vocation is like sign language. Like I know that you told me, but people don't know this, but you chose that field because it gave you the opportunity to
Right.
pursue those last minute auditions.
Mm-hmm.
But why did you choose that field instead of something else that gave you that opportunity? I mean, there had to be something in you that wanted to help the disabled, or you know what I mean.
Good
That
question,
you
yeah.
know?
While I was in high school, I was taking foreign language classes, right? And my neighbor at the time was taking sign language.
Yeah.
And she was hanging out with these deaf people, and I thought, hey, that's cool. Teach me some signs. Just
Yeah.
because I like to learn things. I'm very much about, like, I'll learn whatever, right? And so she taught me some signs, and I was about 15. And then a couple years went by, and she's like, just take a class for yourself.
Yeah.
So I said, all right. My senior year of high school, I had a free period in the afternoon, so I only went to school like until like 12:30 or something, and then I decided to, I'm gonna enroll in college at night. So I went to college at night my senior year, and I took sign language. So I'll just do that, and I took ASL1, I took ASL2, and I always ask myself, like, I look back and I'm like, oh, this 17-year-old had the foresight to know that this is gonna come in
Yeah.
handy, because I didn't know about, what 17-year-old this senior year is gonna
Yeah.
want to go to school at night when they're ready to, like, hey, I'm gonna graduate, I'm gonna party, and I was like, I'm gonna go
It's
to school.
intuition, man.
Yeah, and so I just kept at it. And I didn't want to be an interpreter for a long time. I didn't want to work in a classroom, and I thought that's where interpreters worked, in a classroom. When I realized that I didn't have support from my family, like I need to figure out a way to make money. And at the time, it was a really, really rough year. I mean, I had been laid off from the job that I was working at the time. My car broke down. I couldn't pay my acting tuition, and I had a lot of negative things like falling on me. And I decided to go back to school to learn interpreting, to work on, because I already have the sign language skill, but
Yeah.
I didn't have the interpreting training.
And how long did it take you to be an interpreter? Like to do those classes? Like was it like 3 years?
Mm-hmm. So I started taking college classes when I was 17, but I was in and out of the pro because I didn't want to be an interpreter, and I went back at 23.
Okay.
23, and I finished around 26, I want to say 25, 26.
Okay.
Because the onus was that was I want to be an actor, and that's all I want to do. So I need to find a way. When I discovered during the training that interpreters, yes, they work in a school, but there's also something called freelancing. That's what I want to do. I want to freelance because it gives me the
freedom, right?
The freedom.
And
like, I can make my own schedule. It pays pretty good, and I don't have to depend on anybody to support me. But I had to get through the years of training, and then I had to get through the years of experience.
I see.
That was a tough part, because after I went through the training of it, getting the experience as an interpreter is difficult. Getting the opportunity to first work is hard, and interpreting is a very hard
It's like
field.
another way of getting casted, right?
Pretty much,
right?
yeah.
You know?
It's tough, right? So my college at the time was offering a paid internship, but you have to apply, and it was very competitive because Mount Sac, where I went to school, their interpreters are top notch, and it's a competitive program, and so I applied for the internship program, and I don't know how this is like the luck that a little bit of luck I've had in my life. I went to the interview for the internship program. I told them, all right, I want to be an interpreter, but I want to be an actor. That's what I want to be.
Yeah.
That's what I want to do. I want to be an actor, and I don't know how much time I can give you, but I'll be there for you as much as I can. And by the way, I'm going to CSUN because I just got accepted to Cal State Northridge at the time. I thought they were not going to give me the job because I was only giving them like 2 days a week, and they wanted someone that was there often, and they gave me the job.
That's cool, man.
Because of that, I was able to then apply at freelancing agencies, and because of the name that I have with Mount Sac, I was able to get a lot of work. So I told myself I'm only going to be there for 2 years, my internship year and 1 more year after that. And after that, I'm just going to focus on acting. That was what I was waiting for,
And what was your first acting gig? Was that with Joel?
No. So this is an interesting story. When I had that around the same time where I was going through all this stuff and I was decided to go back to school, they were casting a play in Whittier.
Yeah.
At the Whittier Community Theater. And I said, okay, I'm going to audition. And I was auditioning for Christian. I was auditioning for everything I could get my hands on. And I got turned down everywhere. Yeah. Plays, short films, you name it. I got hired for one, and they fired me for whatever. I don't know even. To this day, I don't know why they let me go. They're just like, we don't want you anymore. So, yeah. And so there was a play at the Whittier Community Theater, and I went to audition. And at that point, my morale was so low that I thought, whatever, this is just another one. I'll just do it. It's another one that I'm not going to get.
It was a complete surprise that you got it, right?
It was a complete surprise, yeah, because there was a lot of people, and I didn't know this at the time, but the community theater circuit is really like political and very tight and very, So I went there, and the play that I auditioned for was the play that I auditioned for my sophomore year in high school, the one I didn't get. So it's the same play, the same thing, right? For the same character.
Yeah.
And it was the first play that I auditioned for.
Well,
in
what
my
does
life.
high school know?
Right,
You know,
exactly.
like,
But that's the first play that I got, which I thought to me was so like crazy.
I think it's just the universe is telling you.
Exactly.
You
You
know,
know, it was the first play that I got. The first character that I got to do was at the Whittier Community Theater playing Noises Off, playing. I forgot the guy's name, but it was Noises Off, and it was huge. It was like 300 seat theater, huge theater, and that was in 2008. So that was my first role.
So that was a theater role, but like, let's talk about like your first like on-screen role. What was your first on-screen role?
So, and the same year, so there's been some good years and there's been some off years, right?
Yeah,
But
man.
that same year, actually the year that we went to Amtrak, I had auditioned for this film. This guy he was a student, but he wanted to make a feature film. And he kind of reminds me of you. Like he was.
We're all ambitious, man.
Yeah, very similar to he came from modest means, and he wanted to like make his movie,
mark, right?
make his movie, right? And he did it, and just kind of like we did Last Request, like
Yeah.
very much like that. It was that kind of experience, and he wrote this whole like detective
Movie, right.
film noir film, right? And he was auditioning from his like garage, and so I went to the audition, and again thinking I'm not going to get it because I haven't been lucky with anything,
Yeah.
right? So he auditioned for this little role, and it's this angry deli man, you get to be the angry deli man, and I got the role, and he tells me like you can do whatever you want with it. You could be Hispanic, you can be Arabic, you can do whatever you want to do with it. Okay, cool. So I took off, and I didn't have to, because it was such a small role, like I didn't have to rehearse with them or anything, and he didn't really talk to me about anything. He just said, do whatever you want to do. And at that time, I was taking off on vacation, and I had to film when I got back, like in July. It was mid-July, and I was on this like 2.5 week trip across the East Coast. But while I was on Amtrak and everything, I was studying my lines, and I was like doing, I'm really intense when I work. And so I was calling around before I left to different like delis. Can I volunteer? Can I learn? Can I work there?
Yeah.
I wanted to really like, what's it called? Method
acting. Because
actor.
Jesse Eisenberg does that. Like I
Yeah.
think there was this movie with he was with Aziz Ansari. Like he played like a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
And he got a job being like a pizza delivery guy.
Yeah.
So I mean, like that's great.
Yeah.
I like that. You know what I mean?
And so I was in it.
I don't find it. Do you think I find that pretentious?
No, I don't. I don't find it pretentious at all because.
I find
look at the actors that do that and look at the quality of work. I mean, whether it's needed or not is up to debate.
Jared Leto is pretentious to me. I cannot stand
Oh,
that guy. I don't know. It's just like I heard stories about him, stepping into the role of the Joker, but I think he just did it just because like he was playing the Joker. You know what I mean? That because he's living off the coattails, not the coattails, but the shadow of Heath Ledger.
Right.
Because he totally became that character.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's kind of like I think he felt like he was obligated to step it up.
There's pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure.
Well, I mean, I totally respect the method acting because, like, the only way to really, because you don't want to see Christian Bale, you want to see the actor, you want to see, you know what I mean? So might as well just become that character for like a year or 6 months or whatever. Screw it. And
no,
I
it's
like
true.
That,
and I mean, it didn't work. Maybe it didn't work successfully for him for Joker, but it certainly worked for him in Dallas Buyers Club.
Yeah, my brother loves that movie.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So whether is it the technique or was it just the fact that this one wasn't as successful? It didn't work. And art.
It's up to debate. Man.
Exactly, it's up to debate. So maybe his rendition of the Joker didn't.
So with you shadowing that,
well,
did that
unfortunately
help
at the time because I was a nobody gave me the opportunity.
Of course,
to
like
do
who's this
that.
kid out of here? Yeah, I know, man.
But you know what I'm saying? But what I did do was, so okay, fine. I'm going to make the character like a Middle Eastern man, and I bought tapes on Middle Eastern accent, and I researched a lot about it, and so I was practicing. I mean, I was really intense in my work on the train, given the level that I was at as an actor at the time. So when I finally went to do the scene, I mean, it turned out to be a really good. It turned out to be like a pretty like dynamic scene, and so then later on, the director was doing a little interview, and he spoke really highly of my work. He said, "Gosh, this guy was just like he went in there and really
man.
out.
Like you always give it your all, man. Like and we didn't meet each other just because like on Facebook or MySpace or anything like that. I saw your reel like at the what was it, the Fonda?
With Fonda. That's
Yeah,
right.
like he was in the movie called Prayers in the Dark.
Prayers in the Dark, right?
And they were showing a trailer of it, and my friend John Lance was in it, and I
Mhm.
saw your performance, and I liked it. I liked you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I thought like this, like I pictured you in some roles that I wanted to write for,
Yeah.
and I felt like you were. I just liked it. There was something about you that I wanted to approach you and talk to you about.
Oh,
like,
thank you.
And then look, here we are. Like
Here we are. Yeah.
Like I would say about like 7 years later or something like that, and we're still talking. You know what I mean? I don't know. It was just something. I mean, I like your passion for it.
Oh,
you know
thank
what I
you.
mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's why you got that. You got that role for that Pine Sol commercial, right?
Oh yeah. Are we jumping to that now?
Yeah, we are jumping.
Oh, we're jumping right.
Yeah.
We're not going to the history of my.
Yeah, we're gonna go back and forth now. We're gonna go
Okay.
back
Okay.
and
Cool.
forth, you know what I mean?
So.
But like, okay, let's set it up.
Yeah.
Like you're doing a bunch of auditions. You've been
Yeah.
through a lot of movies,
Yeah.
independent stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, you got like a major
Yeah.
national commercial, Pine Sol.
Yeah.
It was like I saw the video, man, and like, yeah, I showed my mom the video yesterday.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I was like, oh, he could dance.
Yeah.
And that plays like where you got your dancing skills from high school and all that. doing
Yeah.
And
Well, actually, college because I didn't dance until I was in college, but yeah.
your younger years,
Yeah,
but
my younger years, yeah.
the reason I want to talk to you is because it's a big deal, man. Because
Yeah.
like not everybody, because everybody was trying for that role, man.
Yeah.
And you getting rejected all this time.
Yeah.
You're telling me the story that
Mhm.
you're just getting let go everywhere. You got fired, and you actually got hired.
Yeah.
You beat out all this competition, and
Yeah.
you're in a role. And
It's funny because when I look back in my career, when I was younger, I thought, God, I'm never gonna be SAG. I'm never gonna get a national
Yeah.
commercial. It's impossible. And at the time, so this is a good story because at the time I had been auditioning for different commercials.
Yeah.
Nike and commercials. Like, why would they want me to go audition for them?
Yeah.
But I kept going. I kept like not getting them. I got close to like one, and then didn't get it. And then at the time, it was around 2018, right? So, I was just like, oh, I'm not gonna get another job. And my agent had sent me like, oh, you have a commercial audition for Pine Sol. They need someone who can dance and someone who like has your look but can dance. I'm like, all right, I'll do it. And then I talked to my dad. I said, hey, Dad, I got this commercial audition, but I have to work that day. Like, should I take off? He's like, no, go to work.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
shit.
like, go to work. Can't, like, you don't go to the audition because you're gonna lose money. You're gonna go to audition, and for what?
yeah.
For what? You know? And I said, yeah, it's true, Dad. It's true. You have a good point, but it might be the one.
And
might be the
how was
one.
that conversation?
Right,
when you
it's
got
so-
it? How was it? Did
Right.
he say, "Hey, Dad, dinner's on me today"?
No, well, he told me. No, he had told me, he was like, you make a good point. So just go to your audition and see what happens,
Yeah.
and don't expect anything of it. I'm like, yeah. So then I go to this audition, right? It's in Hollywood, and a sea of people there, just like a whole bunch of people there, and
Would you
it's-
consider kind of like American Idol? You know what I mean? Where
it's
like,
kind of like that.
where like the
It's
line
kind of
was
like that.
huge. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I
And,
mean,
like,
it's
we were
not a
seeing, like-
line. You have an appointment, so you're just sitting there, and the lobby's like full of people,
Yeah.
and they're just calling people one by one. But it's nerve wracking, you
Yeah.
know, because you walk into this room, there's one guy with a camera, and he's like,
Do your thing.
Here, do your
Yeah.
thing, yeah, dance." Or like actually the instructions were, we're gonna put a song on, and you have to act like you're cleaning, and throw a little dance number, and like mime singing the song. And I'm like, I don't even know the lyrics to this song. At the time, with the the song that I was auditioning to was what's the name of that song? Mi Gente.
I don't know.
Tabuta mi gente, tabuja la tete. You know, that's the song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a Mexican. It was
It was
Spanish?
like a Spanish song. It was like a reggaeton song. Beyonce did she did her little part. So anyway, so we go in there and I do my thing, and I dance and whatever, and then he's like, "Thank you." I'm like, "Okay, all right, bye." And
Yeah.
so like they just escort you out. So I'm leaving. I'm like, "Well, this is another one of those in the bag.
Yeah.
Like I'm not gonna get right." And so that was Tuesday. I think it was Wednesday. I get 2 a.m. I get an email from my agent. He's like, "Congratulations, you got the call back." I'm like, "Oh, that's great." He's like, "It's tomorrow at 2 in the afternoon." Cool. So I got the email Wednesday at 2 a.m. So it was Thursday morning, right? Perfect. Friday, I can go.
Yeah.
Thursday I can
Yeah.
chill. I can do my thing. And so I go to work the next day. It's Thursday, right? I'm at work and I do interpreting all day long. I go home, make my dinner, sit down, watch
Yeah.
TV, and I get a message from Age. He's like, "Where are you?" It's like 6 o'clock now, right? Or 5:30. He's like, "Where are you? You missed your audition." I'm like, "No, it's
So
tomorrow."
what the hell are you talking about?
I said, "It's tomorrow." He's like, "No, it was today, and they were waiting for you." I'm like, "What? what? He's like, and I jump out of the couch. I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
going to the car right now. He's like, it's like 5:30, and I'm in Montebello, and then
Yeah.
Hollywood is where the auditions are at, right? And so he's like, well, they finished their sessions at 6 o'clock. And I'm like, tell him I'm on my way. And
Yeah.
I'm like, shitting brakes. So I'm like, no. So getting in my car, I'll be there as fast as I can. And he's like, okay, cool. I'll let them know. So he texted, my agent texted him. He's like, hey, he was in a set doing a movie.
Yeah.
He got off late.
Yeah.
Hey, can you still see him? He's like, okay, we'll be here till like 6:45 or something. Yeah, we'll wait for him. And so I'm in the car driving. I call a friend of mine. I'm like, they're not going to give me the role just because I'm unprofessional.
Yeah, you're like stressing it.
Yeah,
I'm like, it's like this
stressing
looks
out,
so
right?
like first
Stressing
impressions
out.
and stuff like that.
Exactly.
I'm
I'm
like, yeah.
professional. I'm an actor that doesn't know their time of the audition. You know, I'm
Yeah.
showing up late, and they have to make them. They're waiting for me. So I finally, like an hour later, I get there at 6:45. I go into the lobby. There's nobody there, and I'm like
Yeah.
nervous, right? And so then somebody comes out. And he's like, "Don't worry, just take a deep breath, and we'll call you in 5 minutes. Just relax." Okay, cool. So then 5 minutes later, they bring me in, and it's like a room full of the producers, of the director, the Pine Sol marketing team,
Yeah.
the Pine Sol executives. They're all there, right? And I'm like, crap, this is
This is a big deal. This is
a big
it.
deal.
Yeah.
And so they give me the rag. He's like, okay, go ahead, do the thing. Same song. I do my dance. They finish. Thank you. Keep dancing. That was all he told me.
Yeah.
That was it. I'm like, all right. So I leave. And I'm like, I'm a loser. I can't get this
Yeah.
job. And as I'm driving home, talking to a friend of mine, I get a text message from my agent. He's like, hey, they put you on Avail. Which
Right.
Avail is like, they are holding you it's between you and another actor. So they put you on Avail, so they're holding you. So you are in the short list to get the job. It's a good thing to get on Avail.
Yeah.
It's a very good thing, right? And so I'm like, oh, that's great. That was like Thursday. And then the next day, on Friday afternoon, they told me I got the job.
Wow.
Yeah. I was out with a friend of mine.
It was a dream come true.
It was a dream come true because it was the first time I had gotten such a huge. Oh, my agent sent me a text message. He's like, I'm making your Friday the best it's ever been or something like that. Congratulations, you just booked a national commercial.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes, don't get excited because this doesn't happen too often. so that was when I got it, and I was hanging out with a new friend at the time. So
Yeah.
just a friend I just made. You know, we went to go to the gun range in LA and then get tacos afterwards. So I was like so excited, but you know, it's a difference sharing it with somebody who you've known for such a long time or someone that you kind of started hanging out with. And so I couldn't wait to go home and I got the job.
Yeah.
And so I got the Pine Sol job, and that was when I went to set. Well, that's you know.
Oh, I didn't say anything.
Oh, I thought you had a
no,
question.
No,
No.
I was scratching something. Right
Oh
there.
no, but it was a great experience just finally getting the yes after so many no's.
Yeah, man. It
You know?
validates what you're doing. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
And it really peps you up. You know, it validates it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And well, can you walk us through the day that you got on
Yes,
set?
yes,
man?
that's well. When I was before I get there, I do want to say it not only validated all the no's that I've gotten, all the work that I've put into it, because it had no acting involved. There was no acting to the commercial, but those classes that I took for fun when I was younger, the hip hop classes, the gymnastics classes, the martial art stuff that
It's
I did.
like those acting skills that you put, or those skills that you put in your acting toolbox.
Exactly.
Right?
I didn't know that was
Yeah.
going to come to play. I didn't do it for that. I did it because I enjoyed hip hop. I did it because I love
Now,
gymnastics.
Do you feel like the universe provides these opportunities throughout your life, and then at a certain point, they all come out? You know what I mean? Right now, all those experiences. If you didn't have all those prior skills, you wouldn't have gotten.
I wouldn't have gotten the
yeah,
job.
You wouldn't have gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
So do you
So-
feel like there is some kind of, I guess, divine and force driving you?
That's I'm gonna lie and say sometimes I get mad at this divine force that doesn't get me work when I want
Yeah.
to. But it's
No, I get it.
I made choices when I was younger, and these choices are now paying themselves off.
Absolutely.
When I didn't know that at the time.
Yeah.
I didn't know that I was going to be an interpreter when I was 17. I took sign language for the heck of it. I didn't know how it was going to pay off, or if it was, or that it wasn't even a thought about it paying off. But when I needed it, it came through for me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I didn't know that these hip hop classes or gymnastics. I did it because I loved it. I did it because it was so. There's nothing like kind of getting into a hip hop class and
Yeah.
throwing down or doing kickboxing or doing gymnastics. It's fun, and then all of a sudden I'm able to do it in this commercial.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I guess in a roundabout way, like the universe said, hey, like you put all this work in, let's pay it back now.
Yeah, man,
You
it's
know?
really. I mean, I mean, I do believe there is something out there kind of guiding your life for
Mhm.
everybody, and if you don't listen, that's when you kind of like have those pitfalls. You know what I
Right,
mean?
exactly, exactly.
But it's just you have to be open to it.
You have to be open to it. And like I was reading this Quora thing, and it said like one of the things. What did you tell someone at 20 years old? They said to look at everything as an investment, not just financially, but every skill that you do, every choice that you make, every friendship is an investment. You're
Yeah.
investing in something larger,
Yeah.
and to continue to cultivate that investment.
Mhm.
And so that I did. I didn't at the time when
You
I
didn't
was
understand
learning.
it.
I didn't understand it at
Yeah.
the time when I was doing hip hop, gymnastics, and martial arts. I mean, I was way more fit than I am at this moment in my life, but it paid off at this point.
Yeah.
Like it didn't pay off at the time where I thought it would.
Yeah,
It would have paid
like,
off.
I'm pretty sure you lay in bed and you start thinking about your past life, like
Yeah.
your past,
Exactly.
and
Yeah,
how
definitely.
it led up to this point. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And that's why I can't go to sleep at night because I'm always it's like, fuck.
What's it all
Yeah,
about?
I should never cuss that guy out. No,
Yeah,
no,
but it's true, right? So then the after I got the job, it was like 2 weeks later, and I had to go to the rehearsal process.
Yeah.
So I go to the rehearsal, the fitting, and we had to like try on different outfits, and they brought in. So it was a fitting plus a rehearsal that we were scheduled for, and it was me, and they brought in 2 choreographers from the movie Pitch Perfect. The choreographers for Pitch Perfect
Yeah.
were brought in for the Pine Sol, and then the lady, the Diane Amos, was there.
Mhm.
The famous Pine Sol lady, she was there on
okay.
the rehearsal one day.
Yeah.
And so we tried on different outfits. They had to approve of, they wanted a specific look, and they approved it. And then we went into the dance studio, and there was 2 commercials shot. There was one a male version and a female version
Yeah.
for different markets. And so
Yeah.
we had different song choices. So the song that we did at the audition was not ultimately the song that
Yeah.
we used in the commercial. She had one song, I had another song, and for different markets. And so she did her, like they said, okay, try like dance with your broom, and you're gonna do this, and she did it, and they're like, all right, cool, you can go home now. But they made me stay, and so I'm like, oh, okay. And the choreographer's like, wait, what can you do? And show us a little bit. So they put on music, show us your thing, and I'm like, all right. So started kind
Yeah,
of
they were
moving and
molding you,
dancing.
man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And
Like, did you guys Google that, Monique? Like her.
We're putting it up.
Oh yeah. Okay, I was curious.
Oh,
I'm like,
really?
yeah, we should.
Oh,
Put,
that's good.
yeah. Yeah, it's on YouTube. Yeah, it's Pine Sol. We can find you like a Pine Sol commercial. Like,
yeah,
what's the
Pine Sol
tag?
commercial. Yeah,
I think the way I found you yesterday is by your full name and then Pine Sol
Pine Sol,
commercial, and it
right.
popped up.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like it's just walk us through like the first day of production, man. Like
Right.
like were there like trailers
So
outside?
yes.
You know
So
what I mean?
that's a good story, because so they gave me my call sheet, right? And normally on a call sheet, you're in the order of the importance as an actor, right? So I've always been at the bottom.
Yeah, I was like, oh, I'm number 1.
Yeah, and so this time I was number 1, and then when I went to the fitting, it said hero, and
Yeah.
hero is like you're the
guy.
you're the
Yeah,
guy,
yeah.
And so my name was at the top of the call. I'm like, whoa, this is trippy, right? So then I get there, I get to the parking lot of when you're doing indie films, like you go to your set and you park your car and you go to you don't have a trailer or anything. When you do like really high end, like with money behind it, you get to the parking lot and they will shuttle you to the set.
Yeah.
And so there was like the breakfast truck there, right?
Yeah.
So I get there, I'm like, whoa, this is
real.
This is real, right? So like this is the breakfast truck is there, and like you can have your breakfast or whatever you want. And
Did the PA tell you, hey, what do you want
so
to
they
eat?
call me. Oh
Yeah.
no, they're like, oh, Mr. Vasquez, like we need you on set as soon as you can get here. So I'm like, okay. And so I just ordered whatever I wanted. I got my food and I went. They shuttled me to the set. And as we were taking there was like a 2-3 minute ride to
Yeah.
the location, I just suddenly we're in this neighborhood and I just see lights.
Yeah.
And like the utility vans or whatever they're trucks,
Yeah,
right?
like heavy duty,
The
like
heavy-duty
metal
trucks, all
everywhere,
that stuff,
like
just
the
lights everywhere, and I'm like getting nervous. I'm like,
Yeah.
crap, this is
You
big.
would be unhuman not to be nervous,
Yeah.
intimidated by that, because
Yeah.
like you're reaching for that goal, and you're not getting a taste for it. It is
Right.
what it is. It's
Exactly.
it's the taste.
So exactly, it's
Yeah.
the taste.
Yeah.
So then, like, I finally arrive, and then like the PA opens the door. She's like, "Okay, let me escort you to the trailer." So she takes me to the trailer, and there's contracts I have to sign. I'm like, "This is a nice trailer," and she takes me to my little actor room, the
Yeah.
holding area for the actor, and the lady from Clueless, Mrs. Geist, the older lady. I don't know if you ever remember the movie.
I have to-
Seen
I
the
mean-
movie, Mrs. Geist.
She was there?
Yeah, she was there. She was filming like a little online version of commercial. So like, I was talking to her, and then some actor from Canada who had won like a Canadian awards and stuff. He had his own TV show in there, and now he's like working a lot here in the United States. He was doing like a little online snip version. Because there was like little vignettes for their website, but I was the commercial. I was the TV commercial, right? And so it was getting just more nervous. They said they had me sign a contract, and I asked my agent like, "What is this contract?" I already thought everything was taken care of. I'm like, "It is. It's something different, so I don't know what it is." And all right, I signed it. And then they're like, we need you to get into costume and to makeup. So they took me to the other trailer, and I got into all like what I was gonna wear, and then they had to escort me to the set. And it's fun because when you're working on these big sets, people are always escorting you to places. They're taking you, and we walk into the house, and it's just like full of like, because it's
People.
someone's house, right? So
yeah.
it's like full of people. There's monitors, but downstairs, like the Pine Sol, the executives were all the ad executives were there, and so they took me upstairs to the bathroom, which they had it like it was someone's bathroom, but they made a set version of it inside their own bathroom, right? Crazy. And there was the director, and there was cameraman, there was people just everywhere, and
chaotic.
And it was chaotic, very chaotic, and I'm scared, I'm like nervous. I'm like, can I deliver?
Yeah.
And in my head, I'm like, am I able to do this?
Yeah.
Like, am I a fraud? What going through my head? Like,
I think everybody thinks about that, man.
Right?
Like, cause I'm such a fraud. Yeah, I mean, like everybody's like, I don't belong here.
Right.
I'm just like, I'm a fraud. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it was
and you feel like guilty that you have it or something like that. At least I do. You know what I mean? If I get awarded something, it's like I don't think I deserve this, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Like
again, I think I'm a fraud, and I thought to myself, like, I'm so used to getting no's. I finally got the yes, and can I deliver now? Can I do what I'm told, like what they're looking for? I have a company who is betting their marketing on my performance in this commercial. Can I deliver what they wanted?
Yeah, because they're vesting in you, and they're vesting millions of
exactly.
dollars. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And so then the director, James Lees, he's like, okay, ready, we're gonna do this. I'm like, well, you haven't told me anything.
Yeah.
The directors in these kind of things, they don't communicate with actors very efficiently. And so I said, well, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do? He's like, well, just go from this point to that point, and then just kind of dance
and scrub,
and then like just kind of move around and do whatever comes natural. I'm like, okay, all right. And then I'm like, oh my gosh. He's like, ready, and then they're like, ready, playback, and then action, and then I don't know what to go, like the demon of dance.
Yeah, you just kind of said like, screw it, I'm gonna do it, and if they don't like it,
it's not even like I tell them. It's like something happens.
It just clicked, right? It's
like something
action,
happens
right?
when they say action.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, boom, go,
like
and I just went, and so I started dancing, and I started doing my thing, and I started doing whatever, and then they go, cut. Okay, do it again, right? But little unbeknownst to me, when I went to, because they had like 4 different shirts, because I was sweating a lot, and so I had to change a lot. And so when I go out there, they're like, "Did you hear all the clapping?" I'm like, "No, like they were clapping so loud. They're so excited." The Pine Sol marketing team.
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Really?" I had no idea, because I'm not focused on that. Like I'm just focused on doing the job.
You're in the moment.
Right, exactly. And so every time I had to do the take so many times, right? The whole dancing, but I didn't want to do the same thing over and over again. So each time I was like, I'm going to do something different. What can I do to pull out the stops in this performance, And each time I wanted to up the ante for myself, so I would do like the kick, the kick flip. They didn't even know I was going to do that. They just had the guy follow me around and like, whatever you do. So I don't know. I just started doing stuff. Whatever I could think of doing, I did. I did kicks because I used to do martial arts. Yeah. I was doing kicks. I was doing jumps. I was doing turns. I was doing dancing. Like whatever I could do, and every take was different. So every time I watch a commercial, I'm like, like. That moment you're watching, that was the moment that it occurred to me to do that. Yeah. So it was like it's as improv. It's improv every moment of it. They had choreographers on set just in case I forgot, or just in case I ran out of ideas to do. What happened one time when we were in the shower, and I had like the whole like this part in the shower. So they told me they stuck me in the shower. I'm like, what do I do now? And they're like, oh, you didn't do like the robot stuff. You could do the robot stuff. I'm like, that's what I'm gonna do. So I started doing the robot stuff. And then one of the moments that we were cut, you have to set and everything. They have to read the lights. So you're just kind of standing around as an actor. And the shower had like a little, it looked like a microphone, right?
Yeah, you could take it down.
You could take it down. So I was just like, what can I do with this microphone? I just started like playing around by myself. But I forgot the camera was on. And the director was watching it from the video village. And so he comes up to me. He's like, whatever you're doing, like do that. Do that. And so they had used that picture of me doing that for their website. It was just me having just fun. But on their website, they had me like
See that, but that's what an actor
You know?
is. Like they find the tools, and they make it work for whatever
Exactly.
they're doing. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And I worked in some commercials where it was like it was Avion, not Avion, but it was a makeup commercial, and Susan Sarandon was in it.
Mm.
So it reminded me, what you're telling me reminded me of my experience doing the PA, because
Yeah.
it was like, it was chaotic, it was everywhere. All the marketing executives were watching her do her thing, and
Mhm.
they're all clapping because they asked Susan to improvise a line, and she delivered, man.
She delivered, yeah.
She
yeah.
delivers, like, if you're not on this, then you should get on the game, and then she exited out of the frame.
Oh, nice.
And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
And to see like a veteran to do that, Academy Award winner,
Yeah.
to do what, it's like a walk in the park for her. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's beautiful, man. It's
Yeah.
like, that's magic.
Yep.
And like, that's what I love about making movies and participating in something that didn't exist,
Mhm.
and getting the right talent to be in your project. It's
Mhm.
magic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was very, and so it was magic. And the first half of the day was shooting the commercial part of it, right? So what I didn't know was when I signed the contract, when I got to set, it was a modeling contract.
So you're also doing the pictures,
I was
right?
also doing the
Yeah,
pictures
afterwards, right?
After, so
yeah.
the second half, so the after lunch, I came back and they were like, okay, we have to do everything again, but it was set up differently. It was
Yeah.
still a setup for a set, but it was like photography.
photography.
So they were shooting all the stills and everything, and so that was paid different. I was paid a different gig,
Wow.
basically. And so then the third half of the day was doing all the inserts, like me pouring or like opening the pine sol bottle, getting the sponge out, like scrubbing a little, all the close-up insert shots that they did, ahead of the commercial. And that was the third part of the day, and that the whole shoot lasted 12 hours. It was a 12-hour day, and it was exhausting, but it was, I mean, I was on there and like
I mean,
happy.
you would have to say you loved it, because
I
like,
loved it.
even though it was exhausting, like actors, they work that long, and you were getting paid well. You were going to be in a commercial that was going to be shown everywhere, and like, there's no you can't complain.
At the time, I didn't. I was getting the commercial scale, right? But I didn't know. I had no experience in getting residuals and stuff, so I didn't know
It was going to come afterwards.
I didn't know what was going to come afterwards. But I do. Okay, like it was a modest amount of money, but I didn't care. Like I was there. I mean, I've worked for you for free, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm there to do the job. And I had so much fun doing it. I felt like this is it. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life, you know. And so yeah, yeah.
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 Well, I mean, do you still talk to the directors or anything like that, or anybody from that shoot?
We are friends on Instagram and Facebook, but it was interesting because I didn't speak to them. But because of that commercial, afterwards, when I got the residuals, my first like set of residuals, I was able to pay my SAG dues, but I was also went to Europe at that time.
Dude, I was my segue.
Oh, it's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's like can I get another drink? Can I have a sip?
Yeah, actually, I was wondering, I know, if you could play the guitar a little bit, because we're gonna really get into like the Europe trip,
Yeah.
and other stuff, and I need to take. I'm an old man. I need to.
Oh yes.
Yeah. I need to use the restroom.
Okay, no problem.
But you know what? Since you brought the guitar, I think
brought
it's
the guitar.
perfect time. You know, you should bring that mic over
Yeah,
here,
we're gonna bring a mic over here.
and
I'm not a professional musician, so I'm a professional actor, just not a professional musician.
'Cause-
So
yeah, no, because I really want to because you have such a rich background in your pursuit of acting. We still haven't gotten to like what it is acting with COVID and all that. You know what I mean?
Right, that's
That's a big conversation right there.
That's right. Yeah.
And I don't want to rush it. And I want,
Gotcha.
but I was wondering if Monique, if you could do us a favor, can you refresh his drink?
I
You
think
wanted
I'm
like,
good.
oh, I thought you wanted another drink,
Oh
right?
no, it was like, can I drink? I have a sip.
Oh, I thought you wanted more.
No, I wanted a sip.
Oh, you wanted a sip? Oh, okay. I heard that you wanted more. Like, oh, but
Do you have more? I think maybe you want more.
no, I had enough. But yeah, if you could just play something for just a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, I apologize, but I really want to talk to you more
Yeah.
about your career, because like
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
just like a little bit that we just tapped
Yeah,
into.
I
You know what I
know.
mean?
I know we jumped like a lot because
Yeah.
we saw the last request that we
Yeah.
been
Oh
talking
my,
about.
there's too much. in it.
Yeah,
Like, it
all
really-
the stuff with Joel and Joaquin.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So can you just strum away for a little bit?
Yeah,
Maybe, like,
sure.
This is Byron.
Byron, I'll do a song. It's called Okay.
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 Okay, Christians ruining the scene and going on the rest of
Oh, go ahead. You want to go
Yeah.
with the rest of first? Or
Yeah,
you want to...
1, 2, 3, and then.
Those painted blue on
There
a
you go.
summer's night. I'm thinking, oh God, where's it been all my life? Well, maybe my eyes have seen a new sky. Oh, tell me where it goes when I'm down, when the sun goes down. Open up the words that say it's gonna be a brand new day. Keep looking for another way. I know that I can be okay. I'm gonna be okay. Just when I think my whole world is fine, I'm privy to a picture of a darker time. I'm praying, oh Lord, will they let go? Tell me, will they ever know? A soul without sorrow. Open up the words that say it's gonna be a brand new day. Keep looking for another way. I know that I can be okay. I'm gonna be okay. And when the fog has drifted from my eyes, I see a light so small that guides me through it all. Open up the words that say it's gonna be a brand new day. Keep looking for another way. I know that I can be okay. I know that I can be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna be okay.
Hey, man. That's fucking good, dude.
Thanks.
No, I that's worthy to be like in a CD. You know what I mean? It's already in a CD, or
it's coming out. It's coming out. I'm working on an album. That's what, something I've been doing during COVID. I've been working on an album. It's one of my goals. I've had a 5-year plan, and I said, oh, I want to write an album. So I actually just finished. I just got it yesterday, the 5th song on my album. So I have 2 more to record.
How many are going to be in your album?
I think originally it was supposed to be like 4, then it went up to 6, and now I think it's gonna be 7 or 8. It's gonna be an EP, but I think it's gonna turn out to be a full. I don't know, but I mean, I had 3 songs that I've recorded earlier with a student producer, but I'm not including those. So these are brand new songs that I haven't put out yet.
So like, how many go in the album? It really depends. Like 10 or.
It depends on the artist. I guess you can put as many. I think there's 24 song album. They just do disc.
What made you want to write that song? Like, what's the inspiration of that? Like.
Yeah, good question. So. 1 year, I was doing a lot of work on myself, right? Of being more positive and
everything's gonna be okay, right? Like you're trying to,
Right. And so what happened was I kept for 1 month. I did this thing called a positivity journey. It's something I came up with on my own, but I had a parameter set. Like I was going to get off of in social media. I was not going to drink alcohol for the month. I was going to write have a journal with just positive everything. Every day I had to write like 5 positive things, but also anything that inspired me. Mm-hmm. Articles, a quote, anything that inspired me, I would put it in this book, write it down, and I had to do like a volunteer activity, and I wanted to also perform at open mic for the first time.
Yeah,
and that was all within the month. So I had all these things written down, and then that year when I wrote the song, I was going through like a really things aren't progressing how I want them to, and I was kind of feeling down. And so what I did was like, let me just go back to that book that I had written before and just start reading what I wrote. And when I was reading, I'm like, oh, I forgot all about this, and it just kind of put me in a really like happy and a
good state of mind.
And so that's where that song came. Open up the words that say it's gonna be okay. So it was just when I say that, open up the words, it's actually me opening up. Sorry, it was actually me opening up the notebook and just going through all those positive.
I see.
Things that I've written. Yeah.
That's really cool, man. Yeah. Like it's very catchy.
Thank you. Yeah.
So let's go back. Go back to the Europe trip, man.
Let's go back to the Euro trip.
Yeah. So the Euro trip, like, so the residuals, did that help you pay for the Euro trip? And what is the Euro trip? Because nobody knows. I mean,
Oh, yes, the Euro trip,
nobody
the
knows
infamous
what
Euro
that
trip.
is. You know what I mean? It's like, what?
So that year that I got the Pine Sol commercial, the year before that, there was Academy Award winning director Paul Haggis had posted on Instagram that he was doing a master class for actors.
Yeah.
The year before, right? And I wanted to go, but I couldn't because I was going to Virginia to celebrate my grandmother's 80th birthday. Darn it, my luck, right? But that year that I got the commercial, I got it in February, and in March he announced that he was doing the same master class. So I said, boom! It was in late May, June. It was in June. And so I thought to myself, I'm going to do it. I have to do it. You know, I'm scared. I've never traveled out of the country before by myself. I've never traveled really by myself. I'm going to do it. And I said to myself, well, if I'm going to go to Europe, it was in Berlin. The class was held in Berlin the first week of June.
It was a summer trip.
A summer trip. And I thought to myself, I'm not going to just go for like the weekend to Germany. I'm going to be in Europe for the first time. Let me go and spend like time in Paris and in Spain and all that stuff. So, and no, at the time I didn't know I was getting any, like I knew residuals were like on the way. I didn't know what was, or the amount. So,
were you scared to ask how much it was going to be? Like, you know what I mean? Because I would say like, oh, you're going to get residuals, and I didn't want to. I would want to push my luck.
Like, no, I didn't ask anybody what it was going to be. I researched it, like, what are the residuals?
How much am I getting?
Like, what is the average? Like, what do people have gotten in other commercials? And friends have told me numbers, and they give me their experiences, and I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to like. I didn't know what I was looking forward to, or should I look forward to anything? Because it's all dependent on how they used it, how many units they were gonna, and where, and all that stuff. So I just worked diligently to save the money for the trip, right? And I had found an airline. They're defunct now. It's called WOW, and it was like $300 trip. It was $300 to I think even one way. It was $300 trip to Paris. So I said, okay, I'm gonna buy that, And it was a layover in Iceland. And so I bought it for like May, leaving like the second and the third week of May, and that was March. So I was like working as an interpreter as much as I could to save up the money for that trip. And I went, and I spent a week in Paris. In high school, I studied French, and so I, had. It was an interesting experience because the little French that I remembered at the time, I tried to use it. And I was at this bar, and somebody came up to me to talk to me, and I said, "Oh, je parle un peu français." And he was like, ugh. And he
it was like a typical the stereotype that we
hear over here. So very much. And so, but I try to use it as much as I can. And interestingly enough, I was so inspired by that. Well, because I had such a bad experience with the Parisianers there. The French people are around the country not like that, but in Paris they're like very they have short tempers and they're impatient, and I found that to be true. And then I got my backpack stolen in
I remember
in Paris, which is but the only thing that was in there was the biography for Daniel Day-Lewis, and like a journal that I was keeping. So I'm like, well, some guy from Paris has my innermost thoughts on my trip,
And what if he's probably most likely he was like some drug addict, so he's probably like stoned off his mind going
it's
through your
something
book.
that happens very often. Like they don't have a lot of violent crime is not pervasive there, but they steal a lot, and there's syndicates of theft. And they steal from tourists. But it's such a weird way because it's not like here, right? Because here you go to a bar, and this happens in New York City too. I saw a girl; she put her purse on the bar top, and she goes to the bathroom. Everything's cool. So because it was my first time in Europe, I had a backpack on me, and I went to this karaoke bar, and I put it down on my feet.
Yeah.
Because that's
what you do.
That's what you do, right? So, but this guy comes and he just like stands next to me and he's just kind of like listening, orders a drink, and
he's trying to act casual.
And I'm like so like
oblivious,
exactly.
Right?
So I'm like, hey, you're gonna sing a song? He's like, maybe, something wrong. And then cool, and then I like a few minutes later I turn around, and he's gone, and then I look down, and I'm like, my backpack is gone.
So how did you do it? Did you just kind of do like this?
He just kind of like they're so sneaky, and there's YouTube videos of how like people you wouldn't even expect, like old ladies, like they go out and they steal your phone, like they're so sneaky. And but I later I find out too that it's like not just the thieves, they work in tandem with like the security guard and the bartender. They'll call like, hey, like
it's like a big hustle.
Yeah, it's a hustle out there. So
but you didn't deter that. You didn't have that one bad experience ruin your Europe trip.
It didn't ruin the Euro trip. But it did. The first week was difficult. I didn't know because I was going to be gone for 2 months, so I didn't know and I didn't know anybody, and I didn't realize the psychological impact that it was gonna have like the first week.
Yeah.
And I kind of got like homesick, and I was getting a little bit depressed on a trip.
Yeah.
You know, and that was very new to me. I'm like, I'm getting depressed. I'm getting kind of sad. Like, imagine yourself. You're in a foreign country. You don't know the language. You don't know anybody. You can't call anybody and say, hey, what are you doing? Let's go out. You can't. You don't even know how to use the bus or the subway system because there's in a different language, and the money is different. So it's like, you know, do I tip here? I don't know. And some some French guy was like, you don't tip here, and you don't have to. And so I was leaving him like €2. The €2 is a coin. We have $2 here, but over there it's a coin. So I kept leaving him €2 as a tip, and he's like, "You're leaving too much." It's yeah, and so
so you got your backpack.
Yeah, exactly. So so that was interesting, and then my week was coming to an end, but I Googled it, and it was natural that people who travel by themselves, opposite experience, that kind of the first week is kind of tough for them, especially if they're in a country where they don't know the language, and that was the onus for me to like want to go back to study French. So I've been really, for the last 2.5 years, I've been studying French, and my goal is to become fluent in that. And then I was going to go. The interesting thing was I had no desire to visit Spain. I'm like, it's there. I'll go. I like play. I might go check it out. Right?
Is it because you know the language Spanish because you had no desire there, so it didn't feel like you're visiting? Like, you know what I mean?
Could have been that. You know, I just wasn't excited for it. I was excited for France. And then I got like my stuff stolen, and then I was like researching because I didn't know. Every time I went to a different country, like I didn't know where I was gonna stay because it was like a last minute choice. So I booked the Airbnb like a few days before I left.
That would cause me so much anxiety.
Right?
Yeah, that I wouldn't be able to enjoy myself. I have to know that there's going to be a place for me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But no, I totally get that. I just didn't know I was going to go, because when I first landed in Paris, I didn't know if I was going to Barcelona or Madrid. And so I was in my I paid for like a shuttle to pick me up and then to take me to my Airbnb, and somebody in the shuttle was like, no, you should go to Barcelona, it's for young people, Madrid's for older people, go to Barcelona, you have fun. All right, cool. So then like I finally, like a few days later, booked my Airbnb to Barcelona. But I was reading how Spanish people are so racist to Americans. They don't like Americans. They kick them out of bars. They hate them. They're so mean to them. Like, and they steal stuff over there. Oh, it's horrible. It's horrible. You can't go to this area in Barcelona. They'll steal your stuff, right? I'm like, well, I'll make sure I'll get my Airbnb far away from that place, right? And no. So when I finally landed in Barcelona, I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, like, where am I staying at? Do you know if it's a good area? He's like, oh, it's in that. I forgot the name of the area. And I was like, shit, that's where everyone gets their stuff stolen, you know? So I'm thinking, like, I'm going to this really ghetto part of Barcelona, and it couldn't be further from the truth. I had so much fun in Barcelona. So much fun. Nothing stolen. I met people. I was partying to, like, I'm not a partier, but when I travel, for some reason, like, the demon of fiesta, like, takes over me. Yeah, you know? I mean, and so, like, I was out to set, like, in France, like, the bars over there, they don't close.
Oh, really?
They're open till 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning, and if you leave a bar, some close early, like at 2, right? But then people from there will just take you to this, like. So I met this group of people in Paris, and they like come on, come with us, right? And so all right, so we're walking after they close this bar. We're walking to this like really like sketchy looking neighborhood because all the buildings are really old. They're from like, you know, really old. So you don't know where you're going. Everything is dark, and it's like an alley, and they're like, "Oh, we're going down here," and I'm like,
gonna get mugged.
Yeah, someone's gonna drug me and have their way with me.
You seen that movie Hostel?
Yes, I have. Right, so
I bet you that was going through your head, right?
That was going through, and for some reason I'm like, well, we'll see what happens, you know.
It was a good life.
Yeah, exactly. Like I feel fine, so I'm good. So, I can die now. Yeah. So then, like, we went downstairs, and it's like this happening club. Like people are just like partying, And so I'm like, oh, this is cool. So we're partying, and then like I finally walk out like at 7 in the morning. The sun's coming up. I'm like, you know, inebriated, and I get my Uber because, you know, I didn't want to like walk back and take the train, so I get my Uber, and it was Mother's Day in France, the weekend that I was there, and so I pull up. Like at 7 in the morning, I felt so bad, like really, really drunk. And so the owner of the Airbnb was coming out. She was like, "Did you want any bread?" I was like, chocolate croissant. Boom! Was
that like a first time for you to be out at 7 o'clock in the morning, being like, you know, drunk?
Yeah. I mean, no, yes and no. Like not. I mean, I've been out obviously 7 in the morning, like walking around at a friend's house, awake at 7 in the morning, but not partying at a club till like 7 in the morning, 8 in the morning. You know, the party was still going when I left. I left because but the other problem was that I was jet lagged. I was experiencing jet lag, so that was, you know, but that was also the same experience in Spain. When I went to Spain, it was like I was meeting people. And here's the thing that I got, like, and I'm not normally like this. I don't really talk about my acting work if I meet friends or anything. That's not the first thing that I'll talk about, and I rarely talk about it in general. But in Europe, I was like, I need to make friends. I need to connect with people somehow. So I was like, I'm an actor.
That was your go-to card.
Yeah, that was my go-to thing. I'm like, I have a commercial because it came out in April, and I was there in May. It's like, look, and so then I saw people were like, oh, that's so cool. So then I started kind of making friends, and they would take me out in Spain. Specifically, we went to wherever I was staying, like right across, there was this all night club, and so we would go there. But yeah, I didn't know that I was gonna like it as much as I did. It was so much fun, and there was I found this street called Gare Blais, right? And it was a street of, Spain is known for their tapas, but this in particular was called pinchos. And you go to this little bar restaurant, right? And they just put plates of food out there with toothpicks, different colored toothpicks. The red ones are like €1, and the green ones are like €2. Yeah. And so you just like take them as you want. You sit there and you order your drink, and you pay for as many as you take. So these were like tiny little meals. They were so good, and I fell in love with that specific. And it was just local spots because I asked a local, like, I don't want to go with tourists, I want to go with locals.
Yeah, what they're eating.
Yeah, I just where they're going when they're hanging out, and so I went there and. So Spain was one of my favorite, and I thought it was going to be because I recognized, but something I learned about Spanish was like Spain is the only thing they have in common with any sort of Hispanic out here is that they speak Spanish.
Yeah.
Other than that, like it's different. It's different. It's so my experience at least, and like if you wanted to listen to like. If you like reggaeton or salsa, you have to go to a specific Latino club there. But like around the city, you would hear like jazz, you would hear like oldies music, you would hear just like different kinds of music, and so that was the thing that shocked me. I was like, the only thing that you have in common with Hispanics is that you speak the same language. Other than that, they're European. Yeah. So that was interesting. And then I met at one of the bars. I met this. I guess and over there in Spain, like having a name or being somebody of importance is still, pervasive. They were prevalent there, and so there was this one guy who like made friends with me at some bar. He wanted to take me around. He was like rich, and he was carrying around like this bag, and he was like, oh, let's go to this bar. It was like a nightclub. So he takes me to this nightclub, but he was too drunk to get in. But I was like already in it. I was dancing and stuff, right? And so the security had escorted him out, and he was like, he has to come back. He has to leave too. And I'm like, what? He's like, you have to leave the bar. I'm leaving the bar. I'm like, I got you in. I'm like, yeah, you got me in, but you're too drunk to stay. I'm staying. Peace out. And so I go, and the security guard was like, no, we want you to stay because you're having a good time. He needs to get kicked out, right? So that was interesting. And
what happened to that guy? He just left.
I don't know. He just left. But the person. So we met another person there at the bar right before.
He must have been really drunk, man.
He was really, and I think he was like selling drugs and stuff because he had a backpack with. But the guy that we met there, he was like flirting with this chick, and he's like, get my number on WhatsApp, and I'll take you around tomorrow. I'll take you around Barcelona tomorrow. And I'm like, all right, cool. Here's my number. Here's my WhatsApp. But I never thought of it because you give people numbers and they never contact you after that. And so I partied till like 7 a.m. Same thing. I woke up in my Airbnb, and I had a text message from him. He's like, hey, when you're ready, like I'll take you around town. So he took me all around Barcelona. We went to this castle, and we had like dinner at this kind of restaurant, but it was really cool. And I still talk to this friend of mine to this day. We actually went to Mexico a year ago. So that was Spain, and then from there I went to Berlin, and so that's when
Berlin is where the
acting class was, right? And so I was really nervous because originally I got a scene that I wasn't happy with. It was like the scene from the Will Smith and Kevin Smith. I forgot
I know what you're talking about. Hitch.
Yeah. And so they were giving me this scene from Hitch, right? And he was like, I can't dance and I can't do that. He was like, you're a not confident guy. Yeah. And I'm like, why am I paying this money to get a scene where...
So do you feel like you're typecasted?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. So I emailed him back and I was like, I'm not doing the scene. Can you please give me something else? Yeah. Something that's going to be more... Not to be an asshole, and it wasn't to be, but it was like, hey, that's what I'm learning. Like, you got to stand up for what you're worth, and you got to like, know, hey, like, first of all, I can dance. So I don't even feel right saying, even it's acting, but like I don't want to play the same character where you're like, I have no confidence and I can't do this.
Yeah, because you're getting that over here. You want to.
Yeah, exactly. So why am I gonna? If I'm gonna work with an Academy Award-winning director and work with me one-on-one, like why would I want to do this?
Scene? With Hitch.
Yeah. So I said, please give me something else, and so they did, and they gave me the Robert Downey Jr. With he was a lawyer, the judge, and I thought that. beautiful, perfect, right?
Mm.
Because it had nothing to do with my physical appearance at that point. It was just like the
Yeah, your
character.
acting chops.
Yeah, exactly. And so so I was nervous again. Same thing. Like I didn't know who I was going to meet there. I didn't know what kind of talent was going to be there. You know, and now we're talking about an Academy Award-winning director. He directed Crash. He directed Tommy Lee Jones. He directed Nicole.
A-listers.
A-listers, right? Susan Sarandon. He was. And so I'm like, wow. So and I wanted to rehearse with my partner, but he was from Denmark. So he had a family in Denmark, so he would go to Berlin. He's like, I just want to party. So we'd rehearse like for 20 minutes, and he would take off partying.
Yeah.
But whatever. I understood. And when we finally did this, like it was everyone had a scene to do, so everybody went out there, and Paul Haggis was like, okay, now try it this way, and I tried it that way, and I did my scene, and he had no notes for me. He was like, all right,
Thanks. Right.
switch roles.
Uh-huh.
So he told me and the other, okay, now you guys switch characters. And then we did the scene. He's like, gosh, like in real life, I would just do take 2, but we have no notes to give you.
Wow.
So choose another scene. So, we would do one scene in the morning, one scene in the afternoon, and then the next day he would say change or not. I was the only actor that had like 4 different scenes. Everyone else had the exact same scene the whole weekend.
Mm-hmm.
So I was the only actor that would see. I did the next scene. He said no notes. The second scene, no notes. The next day he gave us try a new scene, and then he gave me a third scene. So I did like 3 or 4 scenes
Wow.
of the course of the weekend. Yeah,
All directed by this Academy
all
Award
directed by
director.
this Academy Award director.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's validating, don't you think? Like you got this commercial, and then this Academy Award director is telling you like, oh, there's no notes.
Yeah.
It's validating that you're in the right track, even though you're having all these struggles. That you're meant to do this. You know what I mean? Was that validating?
It was validating because I have put in a lot of work.
Yeah.
And I do put in a lot of work. I mean, you've worked with me before.
Mm.
Like, you know the level. Like, I think that you know like the levels of the work that I'm willing to put in there, and how intense I can be sometimes. And that was validating. It's just sometimes it gets frustrating because it's like, all right, I get told that I'm a pretty good actor, but then why am I not getting work?
Yeah.
What is the dissonance, or where's the disconnect there that I can do this, but I don't get the opportunities as often as I would like. So when I was there, like his assistant came up to me. She's like, "Can I get your email address? Can I get your name?" And she wrote that down, thinking, "Oh, maybe something will come." That was like 2 years later, and nothing. But you never go to these things thinking you're going to get something out of it. You only go for the experience. And what I did get out of it was not only performing for an Academy Award-winning director and having him direct you and how he works, but also just the friendships that I made there.
Yeah.
I made closer friends. Like I've met people that I still talk to this day who live in other countries, who live in like that trip has such an impact in my life that I'm still seeing the ramifications of the trip to this day.
You should write a movie about that. I think that'll make a great movie.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You're Lost in Translation Part 2.
That's right.
Yeah.
But so what's where the Pine Sol residual came in handy was I went a little too splurgy in Paris, and it's expensive. Paris is very expensive. I bought 2 iced teas, and it was like $20 for 2 iced teas.
Iced teas?
Iced teas, $20.
That was just oh wow, and then it wasn't spiked or anything like that.
No,
it
was like a bottle of Nestea, like iced tea. I was just thirsty because it was summer and it was hot, and
Jesus.
But I went bars a lot, and I drank a lot, and so I had splurged a lot in Paris, and then in Spain, and then in Berlin.
Damn, 20 bucks.
So then, yeah, I know it was expensive. And so then, like by the end of like my last couple of days there, and it's interesting in Berlin, the personality. Each country, even though they're like so close together, they're so different culturally. That the Germans were very kind of cold, and I
yes, because they're Germans.
Very German, exactly. And so I had an Airbnb. And the guy was like, "I don't make any noise because I can't sleep at night if you make noise and whatever,
Yeah.
But I made friends with the other actors that were there. And one night, one of the other actors, he was staying in a place like far from Berlin, and so he had like nowhere to go. And so he came to my window. He was like, "Byron," and I'm like, "Who's calling my name?" And it was my friend. And he was like, "I need something to say." I'm like, "All right, come up." So then like I try to get him into the room quietly, and then like owner comes out. He's like, "What?" He starts yelling at me like my parent, like, "What's going on here? I can't believe I can't sleep." And I'm like, "Why do you have an Airbnb if you can't handle noise?"
Yeah.
So we got into it, right? But my funds were like depleting. It was like towards like, and I knew I still had another month left in the East Coast because I was going from Germany. I was going to New York, and from New York I was going to Virginia, and then from Virginia to Kentucky, and Kentucky I don't know, I was going after that, maybe back home or back to New York. But I was like going and getting low. And then my family tells me, oh, you got your check, your first residual check. And I'm like, how much? So please send it over as soon as you can.
Well,
Deposit it for me.
Do you mind?
So like
us?
the
Because I'm interested to know.
you're just to know the
I'm nosy.
So the first series of check was like $10,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 10 grand. You know, after taxes and after my agent's commission was like 8 grand that I got, like almost 9,000.
Yeah, man, that's pretty good, dude.
Yeah,
That's the first one. Were they all like that? You know what I mean?
I mean, I didn't have to work that year if I didn't want to. I can say that.
That's so cool.
Yeah, I didn't. And actually, to this day, I'm still getting some residuals. They're not as obvious. They're not as.
How often do you get them now?
So.
It's like what, every 6 months?
So the first 2 years, I was getting like every month.
Oh.
I was getting them every month, and now it's like every couple months now. But what I didn't want to do was just kind of blow. I felt really responsible for that kind of that quantity of money that I've never had in my hands. Like I didn't have to work if I didn't want to, but I still interpreted. I still went to work as if I was not getting that money, and I obviously I had my fun. I paid I went.
I mean, I would do the same thing because
Right.
at least have some kind of money coming in, so
Right.
you would just not depleting your funds. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at least have the freedom to say, I'm taking the week off.
No,
what I mean?
I did. Exactly. But what I ended up doing, so for the first check only, the first thing I did right away was pay off my entire SAG. Because it's $3,000 to join SAG.
Is that every year, or
No,
is it
that was
just
just
like,
one thing, but then they
Oh.
take a percentage off of your total earnings. But your first initial payment is about $3 grand, and some people they struggle to pay for that. I'm like,
Yeah,
this is the
that's a
opportunity.
lot of money.
I could just cut it. I could just never have
Just-
to worry about
yeah.
that again. So I paid off my SAG dues. I went back to Inno, and I traveled. So I had 5,000 after that. And I went from Germany. I went to New York. I spent a week in New York City. Then I went to Kentucky, Virginia. I went back to
And
New York.
when you went through, when you went back to the States, did you do any acting? Did you attend any more workshops over
I
in
looked
Kentucky
into
or
them.
anything like
What I
that?
did do was I went to see plays.
Uh-huh.
I love plays, so I did go see do theater.
That's good. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
I went to. I looked into some workshops, but I was on vacation mode,
Yeah.
So I was on vacation mode. I looked into some workshops. I even looked into agencies, interpreting agencies to work. I actually did work while I was there too.
Mhm.
So when I went back from Germany, I went to New York City and I applied for interpreting agencies the year before, and so I got work while I was in New York City. And then I went back home, and but the rest of the original, I invested it in
So-
money.
Did you feel like when you went back home, it's kind of like the time that you went to Europe and you went back over here traveling to Kentucky and New York, that you settled back in your old life, that you didn't like it? You know what I mean?
It was
hard.
difficult. It was
like
difficult.
the adjustment. You know what I mean?
Yeah, the thing was what I liked about traveling by myself was I had utter freedom. I could do whatever I wanted, whenever I wanted, and nobody was going to stop me. And I'm an adult; no one's going to stop me now.
Yeah.
But when you're traveling with family, it's like, what do they want to do, and where do you want to go, and what?
Yeah.
And I went by myself, so I had no answer to nobody.
Yeah, and not only that, your family has this, they know you, so you know what I mean. So when you're going somewhere by yourself, you get the opportunity to create a new personality. You know what I mean? It's a new
Exactly.
person. You could try something out. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
It's starting like a fresh slate.
Exactly.
When you come back home, it's all Christian.
Exactly.
That's Christian.
Exactly. It's all Byron,
Yeah, yeah,
It's all,
yeah.
So that was what I liked about traveling, and also just the confidence that I got from traveling by myself, knowing and the things that I learned, just being street smart. You learn that
Experience.
experience is something that I wouldn't have had before. Before when I left, I cashed money. I did the exchange, right? I would never do that now. That's a amateur way of traveling. You go there, you take money out of the ATM because they don't charge you changeover fee. Where if you go to an exchange, you have to pay to exchange. But if you go to the ATM, you just take it out of your just take it out like normal.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and then I've learned Berlin and Germany, they're a little bit behind. So there's not a lot of places that have Wi-Fi and not a lot of places that accept card. It's all cash.
Mhm.
It's a very cash only
Yeah.
city. But it's also it's the cheapest city out of Berlin or out of Spain, and the three ones that I went to, Paris and Spain, Berlin was very least expensive, and it was also very posh. I didn't realize how posh Germany was or Berlin was. And also then you start to realize, oh, you can spot an American
Yeah.
I started getting good at spotting Americans. And then another thing too is a lot of tour people that I travel, they say Americans, they love each other so much. Like when an American see an American, they're like, hey, what's up?
Yeah, yeah.
How's it going? And they become friends. Like, where'd you go? And what's your name? But when people from Europe, they see each other, they're like, ugh. And they don't. They're like, I don't want to get around with them. So it's little things I've learned like that. And then here's one funny story. On my way there, I took WOW, right? And why is it at the time it was a cheap airline? Is because you had to pay for everything. If you want a blanket, pay. If you want water, you pay. If you want this, you pay, right?
Yeah.
So I went on the flight, and I knew that I was gonna drink. So I had like I bought a bottle at the airport. Once you already crossed the metal detectors, I bought a bottle and they sealed it with plastic. And I had upgraded my seat to like first class, right? And because I didn't want to do like a 12-hour flight, in a tiny cramped. So I bought my seat, and supposedly there was gonna be nobody there, but this family came in, right? And there was like two rows ahead of me. There was like a family there, and then the mom sat right. There was an empty seat next to me, and she sat like in the third seat. And she just kept looking over at me, and then like people came, like the flight attendants came and kept giving her special attention. And they were speaking in the Icelandic language, and they kept giving her special attention. They kept asking her things before they would ask anyone. It was to her, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And she asked like, are you gonna order any food? I'm like, maybe. So I ordered like a thing of chips, and I ordered a soda, and I ripped out my bag of, and we're taking off. And they say like they do the typical like your seatbelts and your exits and all that stuff, and then we left. And I'm drinking my whiskey or whatever, and finally I ask her, oh, like, where are you coming from? She's like, oh, I'm from Iceland. I'm like, oh, yeah, that's cool. Like, what are you doing here? Oh, I had a meeting. I work for the airline, and I had a meeting here, and my family met me up for the weekend. I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, what do you do? She goes, I'm vice president of in-flight sales.
Oh, so she's the president. Yeah.
So like I'm here drinking alcohol after they're offering me. She's like pushing me to order some food, and I'm not, and I'm like cheating, right? Like I'm drinking alcohol that I bought at the airport, and she's sitting next to the president of in-flight sales.
Yeah.
Well, the next time when I was coming back from Germany, taking the same flight, I hear the announcements, and they go, seatbelts and exits, and also please refrain from drinking alcohol.
Yeah, that was because of you. That was because of you.
Thinking the same thing. I was like, dang it.
Yeah, the VP was like, "Who's this schmuck?"
Yeah,
taking
exactly.
money from us.
And she didn't say anything, but she kept looking at like, what is he drinking and why?
Yeah,
I'm like, oh.
She spoke to her assistant, and then they made it a rule.
Yeah, but it's unfortunate the airline went defunct, but it was the reason why I was able to afford going to Europe and back. It was like $300. Well,
wow.
And then I added the upgrade, but it was it was pretty.
So it's a once in a lifetime trip. I think,
yeah, it was. I hope not,
but
I wouldn't like to go back to Europe. But it was a trip that had such an impact in my life that I think from that moment I was never the same. Yeah. This confidence came over me. I knew myself more because I was able to be myself completely without any like
judgment,
exactly, or anyone telling me what to do, what I shouldn't do, judgment, and just go, and things that I like, things that I didn't like.
Yeah, like those insecurities, like, oh, you're gonna do that, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like nobody was questioning you over that. Like you did what you wanted to do,
right? And I chose my flights, I chose my Airbnb. When I went to the United States, I rented my car. I did whatever I wanted to do, and I felt so. If I wanted to stay in a hotel, I did. If I didn't, because Airbnbs can get kind of tiring sometimes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a great experience. And when I got back, it was an adjustment because, the apartments in Europe are tiny. They're really small, right? It's like everything is. So when I got back to my apartment, I'm like, this is a huge apartment. And it's not really a big apartment, but it's like compared to what I was used to in Europe, I'm like, wow, this is huge. So
I'm a king, man.
Yeah, in Spain, it was funny because in Spain, an Airbnb I was staying at, like, to turn a shower on, these buildings are so old. If you wanted hot water, you have to get out of the shower, go into the hallway to another room to turn on the heater and to come all the way back. Yeah, I could never figure it out. Yeah. So I was like just washing, like washing whatever was pertinent at the time.
I totally understand because a while ago I went to Mexico to see my grandpa and my dad. I haven't been there like never, and I didn't. They had a shower, but I couldn't figure it out either. Yeah. So I only washed my hair and then washed the pits and all that stuff. Yeah. But I took a full on shower when I got back home because I was gonna take a cold shower. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like no, I wasn't. Yeah, and like they had the water like on top of the roofs. You know what I mean? They have people like. Oh yeah. Yeah, like I bet you. I heard that. Mexico kind of looks like Europe. Like they kind of look the same, like the architecture. You know what I mean? Like the way it's developed or whatever, but
I could see like in specific, like Oaxaca. I've been to Oaxaca. I could see the year. It's very colonial. But in Germany, it's funny because I stayed at the Airbnb that I was staying at. Like the guy had a tub with like a shower hose, right, or whatever,
Yeah.
and right in front of this huge window, and right in front of the window was a hotel,
Uh-huh.
but there was no curtain.
Uh-huh.
And the window was right in front of the tub, so I'm like every morning taking a shower,
Yeah.
and there was somebody just staring at me. I'm like, well, just feast your eyes, because I can't do anything about it, you know.
Yeah.
So I'm like, well, I'm in Europe now, and I have to say this, like Europeans are like they're on a different level as far as a lot of you know
They're free. They're
open,
not.
they're very open minded sexually. They're just like there's
Yeah.
so much more that they're less inhibited, I guess, than Americans are. But so I was like, well, when in Rome, right?
Yeah, when in Rome.
When
There
in
you go.
Rome. So, but yeah, it was
Take a gander.
Exactly. Take feast your eyes, Germans.
So, well, now let's talk about Joaquin. Like, how did you like? Joaquin is a filmmaker. He's also a writer as well. He's written for East Los High, I believe.
East Los
yeah,
High, right.
and he's done other independent productions. He's also like pitching some projects. I saw like in Legendary like Pictures. I don't know what he pitched, but we both know him. He's a really nice guy, and he's been directing some faith-based pictures for Joel Gonzalez, who's the president of Nosotros.
Nosotros, right.
And I just wanted to know, you probably told me a story before, but how did you meet Joaquin, and how did he cast you in Prayers in the Dark? Because you were only in that one movie of his, right?
No, I was
No?
in one more. So it's interesting because when I was in acting training, I went to an audition for a film,
Yeah.
and it was Joaquin who wrote it and gonna direct it, and this producer named Hassan Medina, who he was holding the audition. So I went to the audition, and allegedly, like, these big name actors were going to be in it, but that wasn't the case. And I did the audition, and I thought Joaquin had liked my performance in the audition, but I didn't really deal with him. I dealt with Hassan later on. I made friends. I was friends with on MySpace with Hassan.
That's old school, dude.
That's old school,
God.
yeah. MySpace, you know. And he was looking for somebody. He was working with another director at this time, and I asked him like what happened to the movie, and nothing ever came about. And so he was looking for an elevator to film a movie in. And my father has a business in downtown LA, and there was an elevator at their disposal. And so I said, hey, I have an elevator. And so they went to go check it out, and they liked it. So him and the director, Gregory J. Martin, who has like this series now called The Bay, and he won like a few Emmys a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
And so they went there to shoot the film. And there was a costume designer that worked there, and she said that she knew Joaquin. Her name was Edith Rea. And I said, oh, I know Joaquin. I had auditioned for him before. I said, you know, can you tell them I said hello? So she goes back and she tells him about me, and he's like, oh, yeah, have him email me. So I emailed him, and he goes, hey, come to my office, my studio where I'm editing a film, Followed Home, and I'd like to talk to you again. So I go, it was here in Norwalk or Santa Fe Springs.
Okay.
That I go to his office. It was Joel's office, and he was using a cubicle, and he was editing Followed Home, the horror film that he did. And he told me, I remember you from your audition. I really liked your work, and I wanted to cast you, but the movie didn't go through. And I'm not going to promise you anything, he tells me, because he's very straight like that.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not going to promise you anything, but I'm going to consider you for anything I do in the future.
Oh.
I said, perfect. Like, you know,
Yeah.
there's no pressure or anything. And then a year later, he hits me up, and he's telling me that he's doing this comedy, and he wanted to cast me in a role. And so we filmed the movie, but the movie never got finished. It never, and that's the thing that happens a lot.
Yeah.
Christian.
I know.
Christian.
Hey, I'm not the
But
only one.
you're not
but
the only
hey,
one that does.
Yeah.
So
but
it happens
it's
a lot, and
yeah.
it's frustrating for actors to do these and to put your work into it, and then they die at the post production.
Yeah.
Like they just don't go anywhere. And it's like, you know, we did put the work in.
Yeah.
Christian.
It's the money, man.
I know.
Yeah,
But so then that movie didn't go through, and then like a year went by, and I get a call from Joel. He tells me, "Hey, we have this movie that we're doing. It's called at the time it was called Scripture. We have this movie called Scripture that we want to do, and we were considering you for the role. If you could come down and read for me." And I said, "Sure." And you know, I hate auditions. I'm so nervous at auditions, and I go there and he gives me the role. And Joaquin said, I was always going to give you the role. We just put you through the hoops for the heck of it, you know. And so we did it. That I consider was at that moment was a defining moment, because previous to that, I was doing acting. I knew I was going to do it, but I really decided I'm going to do this professionally. When I got Prayers in the Dark, it was November of 2011, and that's when I knew, okay, I'm going to now pursue this professionally. So that's the mark I choose to use as like the professional work. And yeah, so we filmed it. It was over a week, and it was one of the biggest roles I had at that point in my career. And we were shooting like 12-hour days, and it was an intense.
For how long? How long was the production?
I think the initial production was only about a week, so it was only 7
Oh yeah,
days.
that's right.
It was only, but they had other days that they were shooting. I just wasn't in those, and they were like.
And that's where you met John Lance as well, right?
That's where no, I met John Lance in the first one that we did.
Followed Home.
Not followed.
No.
He was followed home.
Yeah.
We did the comedy one that never got finished.
Oh, okay.
I
So
forgot
that's
what
where
it was
you
called.
met him.
That's where I met him. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But we actually interacted a lot in Prayers in the Dark.
Yeah.
We did rehearsals together. Yeah. So that's where
I mean,
met
that
John
movie
Lance.
also came out in the red, like with the red
in
box.
Redbox. So
yeah.
eventually that movie was finished, and that was one of my first films that got completed, and it got to Redbox throughout the entire country. I had my cousin who lived in Alaska at the time. He rented it there, and
Yeah.
it was a really cool experience having.
Yeah, I remember renting it as well.
Oh, at Redbox,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. That was
And,
really cool.
and going to I think I remember going to Redbox, like, oh my gosh, here it is,
Yeah.
and like getting it and like taking a picture of
See,
it.
man, like you get rules. You get. I mean, it's natural. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
the first, like the movie, like Prison in the Dark, and then the Pine Sol. I mean, you would want it to be like that's like every year. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like it's hard to get that. But at least
Yeah.
you're getting it. Some people don't even get that.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what I mean?
true. I mean, I feel lucky, 'cause especially that year too was really busy. I did Prayers in the Dark, then I did a play, and then I did my own short film. Then I got another movie, and then I got another
Yeah.
play, and so that was a busy year. But all those projects,
It's validating.
it's validating, and then all those projects were for free. I
Yeah.
didn't do. Prior to Pine Sol, like the most I think I made as an actor was like maybe $2,000 doing like a play and doing something else. A couple, that was the most I made from work, and so I got the Pine Sol commercial, right? So it looks like it's a lot on paper, but you realize I was doing it for 10 years and
Yeah.
I didn't really make anything.
Mm.
So,
And there's no such thing as overnight success. You
There
know
is
what I
no,
mean?
yeah.
I mean, somebody blows up right, overnight, but that overnight took 20 years, 15 years. You know what I mean? It's a lot of work behind find all those failures. You know?
And I think you know this. Like I went to workshops after workshops. Like
Yeah.
I do a lot of workshops. I did a lot of classes. I mean, I did a 2-year training at the Miser Technique in Santa Monica, and I mean, there were times where at the time my car broke down. I was taking the bus from Montebello to Santa Monica to come, to take my classes. That I would do lots of training. Like I did a 6-week seminar at some theater. Like I'm always training. I'm always getting better and taking workshops and stuff. So I'm constantly working at my craft. And it's true. I've known actors who've been in this game for as long as I have, and they haven't got a single role.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because a lot of times actors, they limit themselves. I don't do theater, or I don't do this. I'm like, I took whatever I can get.
Mhm.
Anything that gave me any exposure, be it theater or a short film that I worked with you, and a piece of advice that an acting teacher told me that I've always
Yeah, that was
believed.
that was one of my questions I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
If there was a piece of advice an acting teacher gave you that you still use today,
Mhm.
which is
He said, like, take every role as if it's your $1 million role. Every role, treat it as if you're getting paid $1 million.
Yeah.
And that was the most that was put to the test the most working on your project on the Last Request, because I remember at the time, like, I was just getting frustrated. I wasn't working, and then you had like we met at the
Fonda?
at the Fonda Theater, right? But then he told me about, oh, you had a project, Last Request, and you wanted me to do it, right? I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I wanted to do some more professional work, but I guess I'll do the short film, and I was thinking, like, whatever, like, I'll do it, and I flirted with the idea of like phoning it in. I'm not gonna.
That's all right, man.
I flirted with the idea of phoning it in, and we had that party for Joaquin at your house.
Yeah.
And you had told me like how much like you were excited to work with me, and like you saw my work and you couldn't wait, and I felt so horrible that I even had the audacity, like just even the
thought about it.
about just phoning it. Like I couldn't do that. I'm like, like there's no way. Like Joaquin's here telling me, Christian, like how much you have respect for me, and you were like so excited to work with me. Like I could not phone it in, and I put so much work into that role. Like I stayed up like night after night working, doing the emotional prep that I needed so that I could do when the scene came that I was told I had cancer. Like I wanted to deliver everything that I could deliver, and you have to do that like 30 times.
Yeah, the Kubrick.
You have to do
takes,
the 30 times, and I was trying to I wanted to hit it each and every time, and so that was something. That's when I realized this is exactly what the teacher was saying. Like you give every role as if it's your $1 million, because ultimately, like, that experience made me a better actor, because that was the first time I had to do such like emotional work, such
Yeah.
deep kind of stuff, and go to those places. And so I grew from that experience. So regardless of the fact that the movie didn't get finished, like, it made me a better actor.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
It's the experience, you know what I mean? I mean, it's unfortunate that it's not finished yet, but I think everybody who worked on the project, at least they developed some part of the skills in,
Right.
like, in whatever career that they're going into. And it's unfortunate because some people have stopped following me on Facebook because I never got the movie made and I never finished it. I'm not gonna say who, but
Yeah.
I noticed that people stopped following me. It's like, I'm pretty sure it's because this guy's not. I don't know. I guess they were just frustrated with me or whatever.
It
whatever,
happens,
And I'm not gonna lie. It keeps me up at night. You know what I mean? But I mean, what can I do? You
What
know
can
what I
you
mean?
do? You know, like I said, you're not the only person that I've
Yeah.
and bigger. I did a film that I think to me was the most challenging film in my career. I got to play a character with special needs, and I went full on. Like,
Oh, I know what movie you're talking about. It was it was Apocalyptic Thanksgiving.
Exactly. And this was a film I was looking forward to so much because I auditioned.
Yeah,
A
we're
lot
so
of the
excited
films-
about it. Yeah, I remember you talking about it.
A lot of the, like, working with you and working with Joaquin, I didn't have to audition. Like, I met, and then one movie that I did, I had lunch with the director and he gave me a role, and it just happened by chance, right, that I was getting these roles. But this one I submitted for it. They cast me, or I went to the audition. They cast me, and so I was from square one, and I put so much work into this project, or this character. I studied people with mental illnesses. I spent like week after week after week with in a home.
Yeah.
And I put in my all. And while I was there, while I was in costume, I would not break character. So as the moment that I got my clothes on as a character, I would not, and I think I kept that from to this day. Like, the moment that my costume comes on, that's
You're
the
that
character.
character.
But when I take my costume off, I'm not taking the character home with me, because
Yeah.
but the reason for that was he was such different than who I was that I didn't want any of my actual personality to bleed through by accident. I wanted it to be completely this character, and I came
not
up with
you,
the
yeah.
backstory, and it was just intense, right? And that was like 5 years ago, and the movie still was not finished.
Have you approached?
Yeah, of course, and I talk to them like, we're working on it, we're editing. They say they're working on it still, but it's tough, when people in this industry especially, it's like, what have you done? What was the last thing you did?
Yeah.
And if my resume shows, because I'm on paper, my resume, like the last
It
time you
hasn't worked in like 2 years.
well,
or
longer
something
than
like
that, right? Because I did a project last year. Well, I don't want to jump ahead, but again, so, and then they want to see proof, like, what's your, can I see your
where's
reel?
it? Yeah.
And like, they won't give me footage, they won't tell me when it's finished, so it gets frustrating when it's like, why do I do this work and then it might as well not even exist because I can't get another job because
Yeah.
of it, because it doesn't exist yet,
Yeah.
I mean, it does, but you know what I'm saying, but not really, because
Yeah, because nobody's seen it.
Nobody's
Yeah.
seen it, and if no one's seen it, then it doesn't exist. So, but it was a great experience working, and it was a paid gig as well. But I'm looking forward to that movie when it comes out. And then I did another film. I did a pilot of a TV show last. Here's an interesting story. So,
And that was in the film festival or some kind, right?
yeah. So here's a story. So I went to audition for this role. Really worked on the audition. I got the role. And this was a bigger level because the Refinery 29 from New York City, they're the ones who were producing this project. And the girl who wrote the project, she did the voice of a Marvel cartoon show. That she's like like in the Marvel universe.
Yeah.
So she's a bigger actress and stuff. And I got the role, and the director was an Academy Award-winning director from like some shorts that she did before. So it was a bigger,
Yeah.
And the week that I was supposed to film, I got sick and I was hospitalized. And I went to the hospital, and I wasn't gonna go, but my sister was like, "You look really sick. You need to go to the doctor." I'm like, "I'm not going. I have to shoot Wednesday. There's no way I'm not going to go to my set." And you have to. They kind of forced me to go to at least urgent care. She goes, "Just go to urgent care." So I go to urgent care, and the doctor's like, "You're septic. You need to go to the hospital."
What is that?
So like there was an infection in the blood, and so
Oh.
like you need to go to the hospital because it can lead to death.
Oh,
If you don't
shit.
get this taken care of, you need to intravenous antibiotics.
Well, how did that happen?
So I think I had gone to Mexico that year, and I had already that
Yeah,
year.
the ice.
No,
Ice
no,
water.
Yeah. I had the mosquito bites, and I think that
Yeah.
when you scratch and you get dirt in there, you can get like this infection, and so like a bacterial infection. So I had that, and I was struggling like
shit.
yeah, and so it kept popping up, and they kept giving me antibiotics, and I had like three rounds of it, and they go, well, if you get a third round, you're gonna have to maybe get antibiotics intravenously, and I didn't think it was gonna happen, but I did, and I had just moved apartment units, and it was very stressful, right? And so I was feeling horrible, and and I went to the bank with my sister. We were like opening up a joint checking account for the rent and stuff, and I was feeling loopy and I was feeling
Yeah.
sick, and so she makes me go to urgent care. They tell me to go to the hospital, and I tell them, look, I'll be hospitalized, I'll admit myself, but get me out of here Wednesday, because I am shooting a TV show on Wednesday, so I'll leave here against doctor's orders if you have to, but get me out of here Wednesday morning.
And did they live up
Well,
to
they're
it?
like, we'll see. Well, yeah, yeah. So then I called like at Tuesday afternoon. I'm like, hey, when time are you guys gonna have me on set? Because I'm in the hospital. And the producer's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? I'm like, don't worry, I'll be there. What time are you gonna have? He's like, well, we're gonna have you by noon. So I told my doctor, get me out by 9. Like, get me out,
Yeah.
you know. So I went from the hospital pretty much directly to the set, and nobody knew except for the producer. And when I got to the set, the camera lady, she's like, you look familiar, and I'm like, oh, where have you seen you from? Oh, you were the Pine Sol commercial. Like, I worked with
that's
you
so
on the Pine Sol
cool.
commercial. I did your stills.
Small energy.
Yeah,
Small industry.
Small industry, exactly. She did the stills, and so, but then the producer asked me like, "Are you okay?" And the director was like, "What do you mean?" And they told her like, "Oh, he was in the hospital." She's like, "What?"
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I just got out of the hospital. I was hospitalized, and you came here anyway. I'm like, "There's no way I'm missing. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to get work. There's no way I'm throwing." And there was a really great role. It was a good show that went to Sundance. You know, this year, and it went to South by Southwest and won South by Southwest.
Oh.
Unfortunately, because of COVID, like you couldn't do
Yeah.
much, like it didn't go much more or anywhere
Didn't
else.
go anywhere.
So hopefully they're trying to get it sold to like Netflix or Hulu or whatever. But
You'll be like a recurring role.
no, I don't. I mean, who knows? Who knows? The I opened the episode and I closed the episode, but it has like the character is like it's her own life, and it had to do with she, in order to make ends meet, she decides to do like an app, like an Uber app, but for hugging.
Yeah.
For hugging and stuff. So my character was the first person that she meets.
I see.
Yeah, and I was depressed because I had just lost my father, and so she comes over and she like gives me the hug for the first time. So she does this job for the first time. So I mean, I guess it could be recurring if it's so, you know, if they want to. But the director did pull me aside, and she's like, you know, I want to tell you, out of all the people that auditioned, you blew everyone out of the water.
That's pretty good, man.
Which is funny. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
it was a great compliment, but it was also like, you know, when I was in the hospital, a friend of mine came to visit me, who's an actor, and he told me he auditioned for that role.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So when the director told me like you blew everyone out of the water, I was like, oh man, I wonder how Andy did. So I wonder how the other actor did. And so I showed them a picture. I'm like, do you remember this guy? I'm like, no. So,
Like,
oh yeah, but it was a great compliment because it was a really, you know, it was an emotional role to do, and I liked, you know, I like doing that emotional stuff.
yeah.
I love it. I love suffering on, you know, after work. Like, make me cry, make me
Yeah.
suffer, you know.
What's that called? Sadomasochism? Or
Yeah,
something?
yeah, it's for acting only because I hate doing it in real life.
Yeah.
You know.
Maybe that's the way you could just. Maybe like your way of thinking is like, well, if I could do it, present it like in a medium, maybe it
Yeah.
won't happen in real life.
It
know
could,
what I mean?
you know.
Oops.
I just feel like Joaquin told me best. We were doing a scene in Prayers in the Dark where I had to get like emotional, right? And he wanted me to show it to him. Like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I can't. And then like, what are you gonna do? I'm like, I don't want to show you right now. I don't want to waste it. Is basically
Yeah.
what it was. And then he brings me aside later. He's like, you know, you're weird because like you don't do it for rehearsal, but you'll do it when the camera's on. Like you don't feel until the camera is on, and then you're like all kinds of emotion, you know. But you
I
know,
get it, because like you don't want to waste it. Like you
Mhm.
don't want to waste that energy, because then you can't get it back. Because if that moment you try to recreate it, it comes out as false.
False.
You know what I mean? It doesn't seem real. It doesn't.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I totally get it. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And some actors can. Some actors can.
Yeah, they could turn it on
They
and
can
off
turn
like
it on
a
and off,
like
you know.
yeah.
And not that I can't do that, but it's so I was telling this to my sister. I'm like, you know, it's not easy. You pay a price to do these emotional, you know, scenes. They're not. It's not just for me at least. I pay a price, so it hurts. You know, like I'm actually going through it. So why do I want to do it when I don't have to do it?
Yeah.
Like I'll do it when the camera's on. I'll do it when the scene is ready to go. But like
It's
I
exhausting.
don't.
It's emotionally exhausting.
It's emotionally exhausting and it hurt. Like emotionally hurts. Like it takes a part of your soul with you. Like you're leaving it in the character. You know.
Yeah.
So you pay a price for it, and there's no sense in wasting the price.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I got you, man.
Yeah.
So let's let's talk about COVID. How's I mean, COVID has changed a lot, not only like
Yeah.
in the entertainment industry, but like everywhere.
Yeah.
But now with how was how like I know you took some acting classes during that time as like through a Zoom call, like through Zoom conference.
Yeah.
How has the COVID changed the landscape in the entertainment industry, in like in your reality, in your world?
Right.
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah. Obviously, it's different between.
Yeah,
different
for everybody's
levels, for
different. You know what I
everyone's
mean?
different.
But how
Um,
are you facing it?
Yeah, at first, so I had an audition that I turned in like the first week of March, and then the second, like the week after, like 3 days later, I was like shut down. So it was tough because I'm like, did I not get the role because I
Yeah.
was good or because of the shutdown? Whatever the case was. And I had like one audition since then, and there's like been nothing in between. I did
desert. It's like,
desert. Yeah, I did a play read online on Zoom, which was fun, and then I did a workshop. But yeah, like you noticed, and unfortunately, right around the time I booked a trip to visit my sister in Tennessee, for 4th of July, and I had to film a scene before turned it. So that was different, right? So when you take workshops, you do the scene in the class, and the casting director will give you notes, and you do it again. But this one was different because you had to film the scene at home as if it was like a self-tape audition, submitted like a day or two before, and then later on he'll give you feedback on it.
Yeah.
So I went on and I did the workshop, and it was just him. And I've taken from this specific casting director a few times, so I already knew his backstory. So I had to sit there for like an hour and listen to everything I already knew. And then I thought we were gonna do it online, and it didn't happen that way. He gave the critique later on in a separate email. He wanted me to redo it, but I was already on vacation, and there was no way I could redo it. So, I hope that he doesn't remember. That's like the last thing he doesn't remember, because I've taken with him a lot before. So hopefully, it doesn't leave a bad impression. But it's tough, because like he said, things are not back to normal the way they are, and so productions are not happening as frequently as they were before, and a lot of them are doing self-tape submissions, self-tape auditions, right?
Yeah.
So now people from all over the country can have opportunities to audition for something that happened, like it's happening in LA,
Yeah.
because they can just submit a self-tape.
So it's making it harder now, even more so. Do you think?
I think the impression that I'm getting, it'll get back to normal when things start to get back to normal, because that's like, it functions better that way. They like to have the in-person,
Yeah.
the audition.
Totally, because I had, when we were doing the episodes of Casually Christian, we had an actor come in through Zoom, and it's just I prefer it to be in person. I'd rather have the guests come in person so we could talk to each other. It's just a different dynamic. You know what I mean? I feel like I connect to them more, instead of just talking to like a screen. Even though, I mean, you're still talking to each other, but it just feels like they're there and you're real, and you could like just sit and chat.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
definitely. It's like, when you're auditioning in your home, like I have to pull like a family member to, hey, can you read? And they don't want to. And
Yeah.
they're like, oh, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
And let's get this over with.
Yeah.
And but when you're auditioning, you get the reader, which is maybe not that much different, but at least then they're there.
It's your job.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. So, it's tough. There has its pros and cons, I think. But during this time, how I have kept myself busy was I've been writing a play, and I wrote a short film, and that's something that I want to film. I want to film my short film that I'm writing. I was like, what can I do? Like, I want to work. I'm desperate for work. I want to work. I watch TV shows, especially now. I've been watching lots of Netflix and lots of movies, and it's like, I want to do this stuff, So I wrote a little short film that I've been rewriting, and this play that I want to produce after. When,
everything's over.
Yeah, and then just working on the album. I took this opportunity to just like, hey, let me finish the album that I've my music album, and yeah.
And the play that you want to do, I mean, the short movie that you want to do, how long is it going to be? Like 20 minutes?
No, even shorter, because I think the first one I did a short film before. So I produced 2 short films, one that I wrote and acted in, and the other one that I just wanted to be a producer. And the first one, it was like 20 minutes, and for whatever reason, it just didn't get.
And what was the movie called? I know the movie.
Oh, and and Let God Do the Rest.
Yeah.
And so it was an intense film. I mean, it was my first time ever producing something. Most people, they want to do a project, they start, and then they don't finish it.
Yeah,
And
no
I'm not talking
follow-through.
about like the production. I'm talking about you don't follow through, right? And so, but I did. I followed through. I wrote my script, produced it, and I wanted to pay, so everybody on the crew got paid, but just, I don't know, people didn't resonate with it, it was kind of intense.
Yeah.
But I kind of like that kind of stuff, you know. I like
Yeah.
the intensity. And then the second thing I did, I produced. It got like it went to film festivals and stuff. But I realized that people don't have attention spans for long stuff anymore. So I wanted
true.
to make like something like 7 minutes, 10 minutes.
Hence the TikTok craze.
Hence the
Yeah,
TikTok craze,
that's
you
why
know?
it's popular, because like you only get what 5, 30, even that, just 5 seconds, and you just move on.
Yeah.
Move on. There's was a TikTok content creators, and
Yeah.
they're getting paid ridiculous amount of money.
Yeah, but you know it's interesting because they try to transition to acting and they're good in their little short form.
Yeah, but they don't translate well.
They can't do
like,
well,
yeah.
right? So you don't know. I
It's just like it's a separate thing. You know what I
it's a
mean?
separate thing, right?
And
At first, I think at first like a lot of Vine and YouTubers, I know one. My brother does a lot of that stuff. He's into the influencer world, and
Yeah.
you know, and he knows one that's very very famous. I don't want to give the name out, but he's like famous.
Yeah.
And he tried to transition into films, and he actually ended up working with someone that I hired for one of my short films.
Mhm.
And it was on the film was on Netflix and stuff. And when I watched, you know, these actors, like this particular personality who tries to act, it's like, you know,
He didn't
yeah.
have the acting chops.
you didn't have the acting chops. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you're great for what you do, but like,
Yeah.
if people think you can transition easily, and it's not the case.
No, because you need the study. You know what I mean? You need the you need the training. You know what I mean? Because acting it's tough. It's tough because like you not only have to learn your lines, but you have to deal with the hot lights and moving around and getting your marks right. You know what I
right.
mean? And it's just it's complicated.
Right,
You know what I
and
mean?
and too is that people don't realize how hard it is to make lines you have to learn natural. Like for instance, the Clint Eastwood movie, I forgot what it was called, the train one, where he used the actual people that experience, like the actual people. He let them play their characters, their own characters, right? So, and the movie was good, but you could tell that they weren't actors. And they were playing themselves.
Oh,
They were
I
playing
see.
themselves the exact same experience that they had, and they were so like,
Yeah, like
you know,
kinda
they're so
stiff.
and
Yeah.
robotic, and it didn't come out as natural. Actors just know how to like be fluid and expressive, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So would you be a TikTok influencer or anything
No,
like
I
that, or
would not.
YouTube? You know?
You know what? I wouldn't be because I liken it to, I once did a reality show back when I was younger. I did.
Oh, I didn't know that.
You didn't know that?
No, man.
For MTV, I did a reality show for MTV, and it was
What was
called
it?
Little MTV's Little Talent Show.
Okay.
And it was a competition show. We had to act, sing, and dance. We had to do 3 like components of it, and then the top 2, the finalists, would go up and they would have to do a whole piece together, including acting, singing, and dancing.
Really?
And so at the time, the only thing I did was like I had done hip hop and gymnastics and martial arts, but I didn't really do any singing, and I hadn't done acting training, but I knew I wanted to be an actor. I was 23 at the time, and I don't know how and why MTV cast me, and I was at the top 2. I was a
Wow.
finalist, yeah, and I knew right away that although I want to do this, I want to act. I knew, God, I want to do this so badly. Like, this is my life, right? I don't ever want to do reality again, because they would tell you, like, they would come to you and they're like, okay, you know what? Can you say this? And so
I
they would
see.
feed you a little line, right? And it was like, this, like, it made you look either arrogant or dumb.
I see.
And I don't know. I could be a brat sometimes. So I'm like, oh no, thanks. You know, I was like, I'm not saying that.
Yeah.
But other actors, they were. So they
Yeah.
would say stuff like, I'm gonna be the next J Lo,
Yeah.
and well, who are you today?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
that's what I didn't want to get. Like, I don't want to say something today, and then like 10 years from now, like have it look stupid.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they were trying to push for. And then the producers came up to us and they were like, nice people make boring television, so fight.
Yeah.
Fight.
So the producers were telling you to be like the reality TV
Yeah,
show, like
exactly.
fighting and drama
Yeah,
to make
fight.
it. I guess it's entertainment, right?
Right, exactly. And so and then like they wrote, like, ultimately what I found out later on was like they wanted to find like the people with the worst talent.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's who they like highlighted, like the people who were like at the time William Hung was the American Idol, and
Yeah.
he was like She Bang, the She Bangs thing that he did, and he got popular because of how bad
How
he
bad it
was.
was, yeah.
And so they were looking for that in that show. But I would not do it. So
Yeah,
I
you
would-
were gonna be receptive to that.
I wasn't even
Yeah,
receptive to that.
okay.
So they were like they the scene that they had us do for acting, the acting scene was like they had to make, first of all, they put like tongue twisters galore in this scene, right? And they didn't give you the scene until right before you performed, so you had to memorize it real quickly. And it was, you were a robot who thought he was human, who found out that he was a robot who was dying.
Okay.
So they wanted you to like, "Arr!" And so like you see these hilarious like, I am not you. You know? And so they would do these really really crazy things, and I just wouldn't do it. And so the judges were like a choreographer and a couple of actors that are like soap opera stars, and one lady from American Idol, one of the contestants, and you know they'd ask like, why didn't you like spruce it up a little bit? I'm like, oh, I
Yeah.
don't want to look stupid on camera.
Yeah, they basically they want you to act like a fool.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
So although I got the top two, so I was in the finalists. Like my scenes were never really like showcased,
Mhm.
on
television.
Like I mean, they were because I got the top two, right?
Yeah.
Because I had to use sign language in one of my scenes and stuff. So they moved me up and I got the top two. But like what they pushed was the people that looked stupid.
Yeah.
You know, and that's when I realized like I want to act, but I don't want to do reality because you know, first of all, I have a problem talking about me on camera. Like, you know,
Yeah.
this is something that like I was dreading for the whole week. And actually from last week, because I thought, gosh, it was supposed to be on the 19th, and I kept texting my friends. I was like, I don't want to do this. I'm so nervous. I'm so nervous. I hate talking about, you know. So
You're doing a great job right now, man.
it's the alcohol.
Yeah. Oh, it's the alcohol.
It's the 4 drinks.
All right.
Yeah. So, but it's, you know, I didn't like that, and I didn't like the how fake it felt.
Yeah.
Or if I'm gonna be fake, I might as well get a script and do it. Like that's what
Yeah.
I want to be, an artist who immerses himself in a role,
Yeah.
not Byron out there, because I don't want Byron out there. Like I want to
Yeah.
be an actor who disappears into the like role, just
Yeah.
like my favorite actor Sean Penn. So that's what I want. Not to, it's not for the fame. It's for the work.
Good work.
Yeah.
What's the show called?
It's called Little Talent Show.
Little Town. I think I'm gonna Google that.
You
when I
can,
get
but you know
home,
what?
yeah.
I've tried my very best to find. The only thing you can find
Uh-huh.
is the commercial for it. Like
Did you show up in the commercial?
I am in the commercial,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah?
which is like my worst part of my performance. So
Oh, really?
just know that it's like me singing at the time. I really didn't.
I
sing
still
at all.
want to check it out. so
check it
I'll
out, find
yeah,
it, but
yeah.
like I want to make it feel.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's pretty cool, man.
Yeah. So that's
So, what advice would you give yourself when you were entering the whole acting gig? Like now, like is there something that you want to tell yourself to young Byron?
start.
Just start right away.
Well, here, yes. You know, the thing is, it's gonna take a long time, right?
So it's like patience.
It's gonna be patience, right? So one casting director, when I was taking a workshop, he said, "This is a marathon. It's not a sprint. So you're in it for the long haul." He told
Yeah.
me, and I wish I would have started. That's the only regret that I had. That I wish I would have started when I was younger, when I knew I wanted to do it. But when I look at young actors now, and I go to auditions, and I feel the pressure, and then I feel it's a lot of rejection, right? I don't want a child to go through that because it affects your self-esteem.
Yeah.
And if you don't have you don't have the tools when you're that age to kind of mitigate. Okay, you know they're rejecting me, but not me. You know, like you don't
Yeah.
have the tools at that age. You just feel.
It sounds like you would be like a good mentor, man.
Thank you. You know,
Yeah. Is that something you want to consider, like mentoring, like a young actor? Not approaching, but like if
Yeah.
somebody said, "Can you be my coach" or something like that? Would you be receptive to that?
yeah,
or,
you know, I would. In a way, I guess. I feel like I still have a lot to learn. Like I can't
Yeah,
answer. I
but
still have
you
so
know
much
what?
to learn.
And all the artists, like film directors, whatever, like they're still learning. Every
Yeah.
project they're still learning. They're not like they might, bust a front or like they're like they know
Yeah.
everything, but they're still learning as they go.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even
Yeah.
Christopher Nolan, all those people, they're still learning. You know?
It's true.
Yeah.
I that's why I said like I'm open to the idea because I did things a little bit differently than a lot of actors do, right?
Yeah.
Like a lot of actors come out here, they want to get an agent first, and they want to do film and TV. And I started really slowly. Like I'm going to do theater because like that's where the great started. So I read
Yeah.
a lot of. I mean, I read the Sean Penn biography like 30 times. I've read the guy from Breaking Bad. What's his name?
Oh,
again?
Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston. I read his biography. I read so many. Tom Hanks. Like I read all these biographies, and like a common thread that you find is that they started like doing theater and they started small, right?
Yeah.
So I said, all right, if I want to be at that level, I want to start where they started. So I did theater, and for a long time, I didn't care if agents saw me or not. And all the actors who did theater in Hollywood, they didn't care about the work. They just wanted to be seen. So they're like, here's my headshot, and post it out there. And I didn't even give them my headshot to post it.
Yeah.
I just wanted to do the work.
Yeah.
And you know, I read a lot of plays. A lot of actors I know, they will say like, I don't do theater. I'm like, all
Yeah.
right, well,
Okay.
you know, a casting director once said, you know, movies, see, TV makes you rich, movies make you famous, but theater makes you good.
Mm.
And so again, I took that and ran with them. Like, I'm gonna do theater, and there was one year where if I did a movie, I would do a play afterwards. Movie play. Like I wanted to get it all in, and so that's what I would recommend on a young actor. Like, study, you know, read plays, and it's not just doing theater or watching a movie. Like, read a play, like, you know, like, go watch theater. I love watching theater, even in Hollywood. Like, when before COVID, I was watching theater all the time. I would go by myself, and you would see an empty room in LA specifically. It's not a theater town, so you would go to these theaters and see these really great plays, and they're empty, like 2 people in the audience. You know, and why, if you're an actor, why aren't you doing this? Like, why aren't you going to see a theater? Why aren't you reading plays? Like, I just finished reading a play this last week. You know, watching, you know, bigger actors, watching, you know, interviews with actors, just all that. It's kind of considered training.
So, like, it seems like, like people are more attracted to the medium film than theater, because it's like you'll be famous right away. And you think about the superficial stuff,
right?
You know
And
what I
that's
mean?
the thing, exactly. And acting is acting, right? Like, it doesn't matter if you're in a theater or if you're, and there are technical differences between acting and a film, obviously, in the theater.
Yeah.
But when I say read plays, it's not because you want to be theater, because you want to be a better actor, right? And so I had always had that kind of mentality, and a lot of actors didn't have that. And then one day I heard an interview with John Cheadle, and he said the same thing. He was like, if you want to be an actor and you say you're not getting work, are you reading plays? Are you going to watch plays?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's exactly what I was thinking. Like,
Yeah,
that's
like all
exactly
these actors, all these famous actors who are like, well, like, you know, great actors, they all have the same mentality. It's like, start in theater, you know, work in theater, and that's how you get better.
Right.
You know?
Like, I saw this, and you can tell the difference between the actors. You can see it in their body of work. I saw this actress, and she's a known actress because she was on a TV show, and she gave an interview, and she was like, oh, I just did this on-camera audition acting classes, right? Yeah. Versus the actors that I admire and respect, who have this pedigree in acting, this training in acting, and this background in theater, and all this other stuff, and they're Oscar winners, Oscar nominees, and they're doing great films. And this girl, she's like on a CW TV show. Yeah. You know, so it's like, what do you want to do? And I always do, like, I want.
Yeah. What do you want? Right.
What do you want? Exactly. Yeah. Like, you can make a career being, you know, pretty, you know, if you want to, and then have millions of dollars. But like, it was never about the money for me. It's always been about the quality of work.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you know Terry Gilliam. He's a director.
Yeah. He did the name sounds so familiar.
Yeah, he did 12 Monkeys, Brazil. He did like a lot of. He's a great filmmaker, but he did an interview where he said that he was okay just being. He didn't want to be Spielberg, because Spielberg, he makes millions of dollars. He lives like in a house in Beverly Hills. You know what I mean? He's like world famous, but his movies, Spielberg's movies, are safe. You know what I mean?
Right.
They're commercial. There's a happy ending. You know what I mean? Everything's all cookie cutter. Just problem solved. With Terry Gilliam's movies, they're all dark. They all have some kind of twist, or they don't end, so they don't have a happy ending. But he said that he didn't want to. That's what he wanted to do. Those are the type of movies that he wanted to make. Right. He didn't want to be a famous. He didn't want to be like Spielberg, where he was just making those popular movies just to make millions of dollars. He wanted to make movies that resonate with people.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. I love that, because that's the kind of stuff that I want to do. I don't, and you know, for a long time I was like, I'm never going to do a commercial. I didn't want to do that. And I was happy if I just did theater and, you know, and indie films. Yeah. But you know, you get the work where you can get it, and at my level, I'm not in the position where I'm turning down,
choose.
I have to take what I can get. But that's what I got into it for the telling the interesting stories, the twists, or the more character-driven stories, and
So what do you tell people who say that what you're doing is a hobby? Because I mean, I met a lot of people, like even now they're telling me, "Oh, that's a hobby."
I got a couple checks with my name on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But
no.
But what do you tell those people, man?
I mean, I can say now with pride that I'm a professional actor. Yeah. I mean, I joined the union. I paid my dues. I've made a living off of acting. So it's not a hobby for me anymore. Yeah. This is something that I've committed to for the rest of my life. Yeah. You know, for better or for worse. And there are days that I wake up like, I wish I wasn't an actor. Yeah. I would have been a lawyer. I think I would have been a lawyer if I was not an actor, because the law intrigues me. Like sometimes I'll sit and read like
Cases?
yeah, like I went to the
Yeah.
courts and stuff, and the rulings. I'll
Yeah.
read that, and I did like a whole YouTube like during COVID. Like I went to law school on YouTube.
Yeah.
And, so I would have been, and I love legal thrillers. I read a lot of John Grisham. So I would have done that, but I didn't want to be an actor because
Yeah.
even if like say I quit,
Well,
20
maybe you
minutes
could
later,
play a lawyer, dude.
maybe
Yeah.
I'm a lawyer, but like. But when every time I say I quit, 20 minutes later, I'm like, oh, I can't. Like,
Yeah, man. Like, I think every artist, doesn't matter who you are. Like, I mean, I felt it for sure. I mean, there was around 2015. Like, I was struggling. I didn't have a job. My career wasn't going anywhere. I was in writing. I hit a writer's block for the longest, and I woke up one morning and was like, fuck, man. If I just took a different route, I would be at a better place right now, because a lot of people my age, they already have houses, they have families.
Exactly,
you know what I mean?
exactly
You know, and that's all because of the social media shit. That, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're comparing your life.
Right.
And I remember thinking about, I should have been a teacher. You know what I mean? An English teacher or something like that. I would have been fine right now, because I didn't know when I was gonna get paid again. I didn't know what was gonna happen. My future seemed very fucking bleak. You know, but at that time, then I got that writing gig to write these 2 scripts, and that's how I made ends meet. That's how I was able to pay my bills, my rent, and it got some food on the table. It wasn't the healthiest food.
Right.
It was like the dollar menu
right, no,
shit,
the food is food, right?
but
Like, when
but
you're
you know what?
struggling-
When people tell me that my writing's a hobby, or what I want to do is a hobby, I get really really pissed off about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like, if it was a hobby, I wouldn't gotten paid, X amount of dollars to do this. And some people saw. Not only that, I also got awarded. I got a fellowship to be in independent film. Independent has this fellowship called Project Involved, and I got awarded one of the fellowships back in 2004,
Yeah, I remember
because
telling me that, yeah.
because I directed this movie called Eric the Short Film, and I sent it, and I heard that it was very competitive to get into that program that you probably wasn't going to get, and I got it.
Right,
I got the
right.
fucking thing. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things in my life that tell me that I am meant for this, even though it's going very painfully slow. That that I'm in the right track, and it's eventually, if I keep it up, it
Right.
should pay off, and I could tell my bosses to go to hell.
Exactly. No,
Later.
you're 100%. 100%. It is slow, and just like you said earlier, you see all the people that are my age and they're like married and they have their homes, and they
Yeah.
have their successes. It's like, gosh, if I had just chosen a more
different
traditional
path,
route,
yeah.
like things would be a lot different. But I don't want it.
Yeah.
This is like,
Because when I was 17, man, I took my first screenwriting class, and that was because of my friend Nicole. She's my next door neighbor. She gave me a newspaper, and it had, this is before like classifieds and shit. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, they're having a screenwriting conference in Long Beach for, I think it was like $45-50, something like that. And the requirements, you had to be 18 and up, and I was only 17.
Oh, wow.
But they made an exception for me
Oh, wow.
because I talked to them and all that stuff. I was like,
Right.
oh, we won't let, but we'll let you in.
right.
But one of the screenwriting teachers says, like, I have to, you have to make up a decision. Do you want to be on your deathbed looking at all these pretty things around your house, or do you want to be in your deathbed knowing that you pursued your dream? And that's one of the first advice that I got at a young age, starting to pursue my filmmaking career,
Right.
writing career. That's where it began. You know what I mean? I don't want to be a teacher. I want to be a screenwriter. I went full force for it.
Right.
After I graduated high school, I went to I took a year off because I fucking hated school.
Yeah.
And then when I turned 19, I went to film school back in 2003 or something like that. And that was a great experience, man.
Right.
That was before all this. Like, we still had film. People were still shooting on film, and HD was still like new, up and coming. And the latest technology was like the mini DV, the Canon mini
right,
DV.
right.
And at the time, Danny Boyle came out with 28 Days Later, which he filmed.
Oh, right.
He filmed with that camera, which we had at the
Gosh.
film school.
Yeah.
And that was a big thing. That was like a big turning point at that
Right.
time when I was going to film school, was the Canon mini DV, and how like the different lenses you could attach to it, blah blah. But yeah, like my career, the way my career has always been the same way. As my
Right.
same thought is that I want to make movies. I don't want to have a 3-story house and live in Beverly Hills. I just want to make a movie. You know what I mean? I
Right.
just want to make something to leave my part, you know, to contribute something to society, and to have somebody at least watch my movie to
Right.
get to be connected. You know what I mean? Because you know I watch movies because you know I never fit in a classroom or anything
Right.
like that. You know what I mean? When I watched the movie, I felt connected. You know what I mean? I wasn't alone. And I don't know if you felt the same way.
Yeah, you know, movies. I had a very not a great childhood growing up, and movies were a way to escape and to
Yeah.
kind of and go through the catharsis, and I learned a lot about like, and it helped me be more empathetic towards people. So I'm like, this is the experience that I want to give.
Yeah.
This is why, like, I maybe those were the reasons why I didn't get into bad things growing up, because I knew I want to use this as an actor.
Yeah.
Sometimes when I feel frustrated that I haven't done the work that I want to do, it's like, why did I go through all these things growing up if I'm not where I thought I was going to be, and if I'm not using this for, you know, this gift that I was given in
Yeah.
that way, you know, like, you know what I'm saying? So so yeah, that's
I totally get it,
you
man.
know?
Because people who do read my stuff, and they everybody's always told me the same thing. They never met each other. They said like my descriptions are really solid. It's like like you lived it, Christian. Like I don't understand how. Like they give me compliments on my
Right,
description
right.
and like the way I write. It's like, well, if all these different strangers have the same kind of, like the same feeling with my writing, I have to be doing something right. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But
Exactly.
But with that said, I think it's getting a little late in the hour,
Yeah, yeah,
and I'm
definitely.
gonna do a top 7.
Okay, go for it.
You know, usually I do a top 7 and I do like jokes, but I couldn't do any. I couldn't figure any fucking jokes out.
Oh, okay.
Because I was gonna do top 7 comebacks on how to tell people who think that your acting is a hobby, like your comebacks.
Oh yeah. Oh,
And
boy,
one of the comebacks was like, well, your mom seems to like it, and that was the only one I had. I'm like, the next one's gonna, well, your dad seems to like it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
you know, I couldn't. It's like, so I thought it's like, you know what? I'll just do a top 7 about 7 actors. You know what I
Okay.
mean? That I respect, and
Yeah.
not only because they're icons, but when they play a role, they just, you don't see that actor. You see the role. You know what I mean? Every movie that they play, it's always like it's not so and so. It's the Joker, or it's so and so. You know what I mean?
Right.
So this is my top 7. It's not like this is all like opinion, and it's not like just because it's number 1 that's that's number 1.
Right.
It's just like my
Your opinion,
yeah,
right,
my
your- right.
you know. So top 7 actors that I like and respect. So I'll
Alright.
say something, and you'll say something about them and the movies, and then we'll just go all the way until we hit number 1.
Gotcha. Let's do it.
All right, number 7, which we talked about, Bryan Cranston.
Bryan Cranston. So
Yeah,
how's
man.
it- are you gonna say something? I say something, or
Yeah, like I'll say Bryan Cranston, which, like Breaking Bad, Malcolm in the Middle. I just recently saw him in. It's been out for a while. It's called Electric Dreams. It's on Amazon. I guess it's based on Philip K. Dick's short stories or something like that. But he was in one of the episodes, and he played. I don't want to give it too much away, but he's such a marvelous actor. You know what I mean? Everything he does, even playing like a dopey dad. I don't see Bryan Cranston. I just see the character that he plays,
He's
and
so-
he
he's great.
just, to me, he draws you in. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But what about you? Like, is there like
so it's interesting with Bryan Cranston. I have his biography,
Yeah.
his autobiography, and I read it. And in the book I read about his father. He wanted to be an actor very badly, and he never got to do it. He was sick, right?
Yeah.
Well, table that thought, right? My sister, we were like, I live with my sister, and cleaning is not her favorite thing, so she hires people to come in to clean. Like, she has a maid, right, to come to clean the house because she hates cleaning. And it turns out that she was the caretaker for Bryan Cranston's father.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So
crazy.
I'm like, oh my gosh, so that's my connection to Bryan Cranston.
Well, I have a connection with, well, sort of. I was working at this company for a while. My boss, he lived in Camarillo, and he said that his next door neighbor, or no, his aunt's next door neighbor was Bryan Cranston, and he met
Wow.
Bryan Cranston a couple of times at the beach,
Wow.
and they just talked.
Yeah.
But that was my small connection with him.
Right.
So if Chad, you're watching, I'm talking about you. Okay. Number 6. I think everybody could agree on this one. Al Pacino.
Oh, Al Pacino.
Al Pacino, fantastic. Like, not only The Godfather, but my favorite movie of his is Scent of a Woman.
Scent of a Woman.
Yeah. Have you seen that movie?
I have not seen that movie,
it's
no.
really good. Like, he plays this, he's like, his son's like following his dad around for a day, and like he's blind, but like he plays such a great role. Like he's driving like an expensive car like in New York, and he gets pulled over because he's blind, because he's driving recklessly, but like he's driving like whatever. But he plays it. But he's talking to the cop, and he makes the cop believe that he could see. Like he thought that he's just wearing those sunglasses just because he's driving this expensive car.
Right.
But he got out of getting a parking ticket or a speeding ticket because he just used whatever, you know, his character got him out of that parking ticket. You know what I mean? And it's a great. I'm pretty sure he won an Academy Award for that movie.
Wow.
But another movie that he was really good in is Scarface. But Carlito's Way. I like Carlito's Way.
You know, I have not seen very many Al Pacino movies. I actually have Carlito's Way. I have not seen it yet. I bought it on DVD, and I think
it's homework, man.
I know,
because Sean Penn's in that
that's why I bought it, because Sean Penn. But I haven't seen it yet, and I don't know a lot of his work. I only saw him there was like one movie I saw, 8mm.
Yeah.
Or 8 minutes, something like that. Or
it was
8 minutes, 8
yeah.
minutes, yeah. So it wasn't even like a great representation of who he was, you know. So I have nothing to say about Al Pacino except that I know he's really revered, but I don't know his work.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well, was he in The Godfather?
Yeah, he was the
Godfather. First one or the second one?
Both of them.
Oh, okay.
Oh, actually, all of them.
Was he in all of them?
Yeah.
So I saw The Godfather when I was working when I was doing Shark Skin, because I was playing a mob boss, a mob guy, but I didn't remember.
Really?
Yeah. So I'm really bad with Al Pacino.
But you know, the reason I watched Carlito's Way and Scarface, because it was directed by one of my favorite directors, is Brian De Palma.
Brian De Palma.
He's one of my favorite directors, and he's also Quentin Tarantino's favorite director as well.
Really?
A lot of his shots, Quentin Tarantino's shots, are influenced from Brian De Palma, because he does a lot of like those long shots with the crane and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah, man. So okay, number 5, because we need to throw some females in here.
Yeah.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
I love Michelle Pfeiffer. I love her. Sorry, go ahead.
No, Michelle Pfeiffer. I'm just going back to Batman Returns. I love her as Catwoman.
Oh yeah, she's great.
Yeah, and she was in Dangerous Minds as well.
Dangerous Minds, yeah.
And what else? She was also in Hairspray. It came out like 10 years ago, but she played like what?
Grease 2.
Grease 2. Was she in Grease 2?
She's in Grease 2.
Yeah. I didn't like Grease 2 because
it's cute. It's
you know, they filmed part of the scene.
Underrated, yeah.
They filmed part of the scene in Excelsior High.
Oh, no, did they really?
Yeah, they did. Actually, I remember when they blocked off that area. I was a small kid. Yeah, it's trippy.
Oh, that's funny.
But Michelle Pfeiffer, I never see Michelle Pfeiffer in the movie. I see the actor that she's portraying. You know what I mean? Either like she's. Do you have a favorite movie?
I like so many of her movies. I mean, she's Michelle Pfeiffer. I mean, one of the movies I really like her in a lot was I Am Sam with Sean Penn. There's gonna be a thread in the movies I like.
Yeah.
A common thread, but I liked her in I Am Sam. I thought she did a really. In fact, it was her scene in that movie that inspired the short film that I'm writing. Something similar to that. So I mean, not exactly, but it was. She
inspired.
Inspired, yeah. But yeah, I think she's great. I love Michelle Pfeiffer.
Let's see. Okay, number 4, and this is a real good one. Robin Williams.
Oh wow.
Robin Williams, fucking phenomenal.
Yeah.
He started off as an actor, but son of a bitch, he's talented.
He started off as a comedian.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sorry. He started off as a comedian.
Stand-up comedian.
Yeah. And then he became an actor, but like the guy's talented, you know.
Talented, super.
And
talented.
it sucks that that you had to.
Yeah.
And when he committed suicide, it was unexpected because somebody who made people laugh and made people like happy, that he was going through his own demons. And it was kind of sad that it was like, well, this guy can't be happy, then what I mean, that's dark, but
I know well the rest of us have
I know
to look forward to. No, I get that.
But number of movies that he's been in, like The Birdcage. I mean, the Aladdin.
Yeah.
Genie, I mean, every movie that he's like.
Mrs. Doubtfire.
Yeah, Mrs. Doubtfire. Even his not so popular movies too.
Father's Day.
Father's Day. No, there's another one. I think Terry Gilliam. I think it's called The Fisher King. The Fisher King. Yeah, it's a very underrated movie, but he plays this. He plays a transit who went crazy because like his son died and he became like homeless person. But like I don't know. It's a really good movie if you like Terry Gilliam and his work. Like it's totally like his style.
Right, right.
But he did a pretty good performance on that movie, The Fisher King.
And what was I forgot the name. I can't believe I blacked out on the name. With Matt Damon, his first role, Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting.
Good Will Hunting. 1 Hour Photo.
Yeah.
Like those are great. Awakenings.
Yeah.
You know, even the
Awakenings was a really good movie. Yeah, like
good, yeah.
Robert De Niro was in that movie,
Robert
right?
De Niro,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
I saw that movie. Like, I for some reason I really get attached to movies where like it has to be with like somebody who's mentally disabled.
Right.
I like watching those movies.
Well, you're gonna watch mine whenever.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Like Rayman is one of my favorite movies. Yeah. But yeah, I don't think I have Tom Cruise or Dustin Hoffman, which is travesty because both of those actors are pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah, but.
I'm trying to. Patch Adams is a great, a good underrated. I think Robert Williams.
Yeah.
And Jack.
Jack. Yeah.
Jack with Jennifer
Jack,
Lopez.
Jack was a very depressing movie.
It was depressing.
Yeah,
right?
but it was a really good movie. You know,
yeah.
when I was watching that movie back in the 90s,
Yeah.
I was hoping that the doctor was going to give him a potion. You know what I mean? And he was going to revert back to his kid. He was going to wake up as a kid. And
he's about to die.
Yeah, he's about to die. And he graduates. Like, I left very heartbroken.
Yeah,
in
it
the
was
movie.
sad.
Yeah, it was very sad.
Yeah.
I think that's why I haven't watched it because it always bums me out in the end. It's like, oh, this guy's gonna die like
See,
in a
that's
week.
what I'm saying. Like, I love movies that bum me out. Like, I want to feel like, what, you know, I don't know.
Well, Bill Cosby's in that movie.
Is he in Jack?
Yeah,
Oh, he's in Jack. Yeah,
he played a
true.
fucking doctor. What does that say? Take these pills. I'll make you drowsy in a little bit. Okay.
That's crazy.
Okay. Number 3, Sigourney Weaver.
Sigourney Weaver.
She needs to be in more movies. She was in a lot of movies during the 80s and early 90s, but you know what sucks? That female aging actresses, they stop getting casted in movies.
Well, it depends. If you're like Meryl Streep, then no, you
Well,
can't be
yeah,
paid.
yeah.
There's like a handful of ones that are like always working, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
It's because they're juiced in for some reason. I don't know,
know.
but you know, like Sigourney Weaver and who's that lady who was in Beetlejuice? Gina Davis.
Oh, Gina Davis.
Yeah, Gina
that's
Davis.
right,
Like
yeah,
she's a great actress too.
Yeah.
It sucks that they're both not in more movies.
Mhm.
I think I don't know if Sigourney Weaver's going to be like in the new Avatar movie.
Oh,
But I'm not sure. I haven't checked up on it. It's been like forever since Avatar came out.
Right.
But, would you have a favorite Sigourney Weaver movie?
You know, I didn't know a lot of her stuff. I knew that she was in Aliens, and that's what I knew her as. But there was one movie in particular that she won the Emmy for because it was a TV movie that I think she did a great job. And I knew it when I saw it. Like I knew she was gonna like either get it or get nominated. And it was Prayers for Bobby. Have you heard?
No, I never heard of it.
It's about this kid who grew up they were a religious family and he was gay, and so he came out and his family was like no, and like you know as religious families would react, and he killed himself. And so she went around like trying to figure out like what did she do wrong, and she it'll get me emotional just thinking about it. But
really?
Like, even because at the end she like prays for forgiveness, like why didn't I do something different, like, and it was just a great
When did this
role.
come out?
Came out like in 2006, 7, 8, I don't know.
Sort of recent, right?
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
wasn't too old, but it was great because she got the Emmy for that, and Prayers for Bobby was.
So,
really
do
good.
you cry when you watch a movie? Like when it hits you, do you cry? Do you allow yourself to cry? Yeah,
that's
me
part
too.
of
the experience of watching a
that's
movie.
part
right?
of I think me also being a better actor is like if you can allow yourself to feel when you're watching it, you're certainly gonna allow. When I was younger, when I was like doing the acting training, I realized I'm having problem. I'm a sensitive person in general, but there was a moment in my life where I just like was able to like you know. But I feel really deeply, and I realized like I need to access my emotions, so I'm gonna start watching movies and letting it go where it goes, letting me feel where it feels. So yeah, I cry easily.
Yeah,
films
you know,
and stuff.
I, me too. I allow myself to feel it, feel the movie, but I also get teared up when I watch a movie that's like well done, like you know what I mean, well directed, well shot, like just like you know. And I do. It's like wow, it's like going to church for me. You know what I mean? I don't feel anything when I go to church. I do feel something when I go to the movies. You know what I mean? Yeah. And to me, going to the movies is my church.
It's interesting. I had my older sister who's very religious, and we were going, and I feel bad about this now. We were going to Las Vegas for Christmas, right? So we're driving, and she's just like watching the rocks and the mountains. She's like, it's so beautiful. And she's just like crying about how beautiful it is, and how wonderful like God was that He created all this. And she's crying. I'm like making fun of her. I'm like, what? Crying crying about?
Yeah.
You know, now I understand. Like I don't cry over some. Like I cry over something that was emotionally resonant with me. Like if I'm watching a scene or someone says something that like, oh man, it can get me. But I can respect now that people can look at something that's so well done, and admire the beauty of it. You know, because and so I apologize for. I'm like, I'm sorry that I did that to you before, because that's.
How old were you when that happened?
I was like 18.
18? Ah, come on. You're allowed to act like a jerk.
Exactly. So as an adult, you have to reconcile.
Yeah.
My jerk.
I know.
days.
I know. I'm well aware of that. But yeah. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, like I never experienced anything like that, like where I'm looking at something beautiful, like I went to but like I was going to Yosemite, like to like a location where that the beauty of the landscape made me choke up.
Your experience with watching a beautifully well made film, it was her experience watching like a beautiful landscape, right? It was similar.
Yeah.
In that, you know.
Yeah, it's trippy because I try because I grew up like in the masculine household, so like you don't cry. I try to hide it, like.
Yeah.
I'm cutting onions here, you know.
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. Like, I'll watch a movie by myself and I'll let it go.
Yeah.
Like I'll but when I'm with people, like you, like
Yeah.
You know?
Like,
or when I'm acting, I don't. That's the thing. When I'm acting, I don't care.
Yeah.
But when I'm like being me, it's like no one's gonna see.
Yeah.
Not because I feel anything. I just don't like to feel vulnerable in front of people.
Yeah, I don't like feeling vulnerable in front of people as well, even my lone ones.
Right,
know?
exactly.
Especially my lone ones. I don't know.
Like
I don't know.
Least vulnerable with them.
Yeah, I have to put up front.
I'm cold stone.
Yeah. No emotion. People have told me that I'm very hard to read. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's because I don't want people to know.
Yeah.
But is there a movie? Do you remember when you were a kid that just made you fucking cry? Like as a kid, I'm talking about like elementary school.
No.
If I could, I'll let you know. Mine was The Fox and the Hound.
Oh wow. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Like that movie, I could not fucking finish that movie because I'm like, this movie's not gonna end well. I had to turn it off.
Yeah.
I was fucking just bawling. You know, I was just crying. It's like they love each other. They're friends.
You know, I'll tell you this. Like, I don't remember a lot of my because I had such a really traumatic childhood. But what I did watch when I was that age was horror films. So nothing that would make me cry. Like the reason that I wanted to be an actor was because I saw a Freddy Krueger movie, and I was like, I want to be an actor. I want to do this, you know.
Yeah.
And so, so as an adult, I can tell you what movies have resonated to me as an older, like maybe 18, 19, 20, when I was already in my older. But as a kid, I don't think there was a movie that had made me cry, because my parents, like my mother always gave us like very uplifting movies and very, you know. So no, I don't remember one that I got really emotional over.
Yeah, man, I have like a lot. I think I was just a crybaby. I had like Fox and the Hound, Rain Man, and what else? La Bamba. Those fucking
La Bamba,
yeah. Those movies made me cry when I was a kid.
Mom.
Yeah. I know. Okay, moving on. Okay, number 2, Elizabeth Taylor. She's really good. Have you seen
know anything of Elizabeth Taylor? No.
You know, the only movie that I seen that I really love her in is
who is she even?
Elizabeth Taylor. She was friends with Michael Jackson.
Right.
And
she
played Cleopatra back in the day. But the movie that I said like, wow, she's a great actress was like, Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf?
Oh, I read the play.
Oh my God, that was a good movie. That was such a good movie.
Yeah. No, I haven't seen anything in Elizabeth Taylor.
You should watch the movie, man. That was so good. Because I saw that movie when I was not young. I was like in my late 20s, and I saw it. I think I saw it with John, back when I was living in my old house, and I saw it, and I'm like, wow, this is so good. You know what I mean? There's like it was in black and white.
Yeah.
There's no special effects. It was drama, and there's something about it because like. If anybody loves movies, you guys should check it out. It's really good. I don't want to give too much. Too. Yeah.
No, but I watched clips of. I remember because I took a playwriting class and we had to read Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf, and they showed the clips after we read the play of the movie. But that's as far as I've ever seen anything Elizabeth Taylor's in. But it's a great play.
Yeah, it's a great movie. You got the yin and yang over here, you know. All right, number 1, and I have number 1 because of you.
Yeah.
Who do you think it is? Oh, come on, man. Sean Penn. Yeah.
Oh, man. Well,
but no, for real, not to pander to you, but like he's a good actor.
Yeah.
In Carlito's Way, like he really he played this lawyer.
Yeah.
And he became a gangster in the movie.
Right.
And Al Pacino was like, you're a gangster, because like he did something and but he I don't see Sean Penn in that movie.
No,
I see
exactly.
the character that was playing.
That's
in Carlito's
exactly
Way.
why I love Sean Penn so much, because he disappears in every single role and he brings so much emotional life. He's so sensitive in his work. And it's funny because in the biography he talked about Carlito's Way that he had like that weird hairstyle.
Yeah.
And he hated it. He goes, I hated wearing
It was
that
a fro.
hairstyle. Yeah, and I think he was like losing his hair and stuff and so like he would hate it. He hated it. But he goes, damn it, like this is the character I have to be. And that was all his choice. Like he is someone that works from the outside in, so he like figures out what the look is going to be, and then he like goes inside, you know. But yeah, Sean Penn is my biggest inspiration in my life. Like he is the kind of actor I want to be.
Yeah.
You know, and I got introduced to him because I've been an interpreter or something.
Oh, you met him?
No. Like
Oh.
I mean, I got introduced to him as an actor, as a.
Oh, I
I don't
see.
think I ever want to meet him. I don't know. There's something about
You know,
meeting your
actually,
idols.
I wanted to talk to you about that.
Yeah.
If you ever wanted to meet your idol, because you know, I'm the same. I'm in the same boat as you because I had a dream where I sat next to Steven Spielberg and Tom Hanks, and you know, I idolized them. And in my dream, they were fucking jerks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was sitting in the same role, like watching a movie or whatever, and they were like, "What is this guy sitting next to us?" You know what I mean? They were acting
Right.
like dicks. You know what I mean? And then I woke up. I was like, "What was that all about?" And I think it's because my subconscious was telling me that I'm not in par with them, or like they're not going to
Right.
accept me if I'm ever, you know, in their category. So I'm kind of I wouldn't want to meet my idols because I don't want every movie to be ruined if they turn out to be jerks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know, here's the thing with me. Like, I have met a few of them, and they have been amazing. They've been
Yeah.
like great people.
Yeah.
And so I'm afraid that, like, hey, my time's coming up.
Yeah.
You know. But also, I met his brother once.
Oh, yeah?
Chris Penn. Before he died. I met
Yeah,
him.
I was gonna say that he passed away.
Yeah, he passed away. And this is before I even knew who Sean Penn was. I went to this restaurant in Santa Monica. I was, I think, 18 or 19 at the time, and at the bar was Chris Penn, and I didn't know who Sean Penn was at the time. And I was like, "Oh, that's Chris Penn. Let me go talk to him." So I went to the bar, and he was like, I don't want to disrespect the
Oh, he was
class.
a jerk.
He was just not very friendly.
Oh,
at the
okay.
time. Yeah.
Was he drunk?
I don't want
No,
to say
you don't
yes
know?
or no, but I think I'm going to assume he was at
Yeah.
the bar. You know.
Yeah.
So he was not very forthcoming. He wasn't very pleasant, and
So how did he talk to him?
yeah.
or-
I said, "Hey, you're Chris Penn." And he's like, "Yeah."
Oh, I see.
And like, "Can I get your autograph?" I was like, "No."
Oh, he said no.
Yeah, I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so I went back to
Yeah,
my
I think
seat.
you're-
So,
yeah.
but then that's before I even knew who Sean Penn was, you know. And then I discovered Sean Penn because I was in the interpreting or learning about interpreting, and the movie The Interpreter came out, and I thought, oh, this is cool. Like this is, I'm gonna go see it. And I saw this scene between Nicole Kidman and Sean Penn. They're sitting on a bench, and a character of her friends had committed suicide, and so he left a suicide note. And Sean Penn, whose wife was just killed in a car accident, was reading the letter. But I didn't know who he was. I just knew there was an actor, and he had like you just all these emotions were coming out, and you saw like how he felt for her, and you saw how he felt about it. Said why, and like everything. And I'm like, who is this guy? This is amazing. And it was Sean Penn. I'm like, this is Sean Penn. So I went to like Blockbuster.
Yeah,
At the
rented those
Blockbuster
movies.
at the time, and I rented like, what's the next thing? Like, what can you tell me? What's Sean Penn? That's like a movie that you know. Oh, Dead Man Walking. Dead Man
Yeah.
Walking. Okay, cool. Oh my gosh! And that
Yeah.
movie just like destroyed me. And after that, it was just, I rented everything I can get.
Do you like Mystic River?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I like Mr. River. I liked it because it was powerful performance, but it was such a. The ending was so dark, you know. The ending was very dark, and it was very like, just I loved it. I loved it, you know, and I loved him in I Am Sam. I loved him in Milk. I loved him in just everything. And I went back to his first films, Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I saw him in Taps. I saw him in Bad Boys. I saw him in Colors. I saw him in just everything.
He was great in Colors.
He was great in
Yeah,
Colors,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know. Like then I read his biography like 30 times. I read like any magazine that he was in. I got it. So I don't know. Do I ever want to meet him? Not as a person. If I ever do,
You want to
meet
work with him?
I would want to work with
yeah,
him as
same.
we professionally were introduced
Yeah.
and like that. But if I had to meet him as a fan, then no.
Yeah, I feel you, man. Because it's different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You don't want to betray. It's like, oh my god, let me have your autograph. And,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah, exactly.
Approach him as another respected professional.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
100%
Yeah.
As another like a colleague. You
Yeah.
know? And I heard that he'll like randomly call people like he likes his work, and so I'm hoping one day I'll get the random call from Sean Penn. Hey,
Well, someday, man.
I want to work with you, but
Hey, you have to throw that idea in the universe,
that's
and
right.
they'll
Like,
come back. Yeah,
throw it
there you
out
go.
There, that's my idea.
All right, man. How did you feel about this interview? Pretty
It was
good?
great. It was
That
fun. It was
right?
the first time I've been interviewed, so it was
Yeah, man. I
it
had a
was,
great conversation catching up with you.
I know, right, in front of
You still have to have dinner.
dozens and dozens of
Dozens of people. Hey, Mom. My mom's watching. She's liking. Yeah.
Oh, nice.
She's my biggest fan.
Aw,
my mom.
They should be, right? Your mom should be your
Yeah.
biggest fan.
Well, last week or the last time we had our show, she accidentally sent me an angry emoji in the live stream.
No way.
And she called me the night. I was like, Christian, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to give you an angry emoji. It was an accident. I didn't know how to take it back. I was like, calm down, Mom. It's all right. It's fine. You know.
Yeah.
But she was
That's
very.
fun.
She was funny. It was cute.
It was cute, yeah.
But
That's cute.
But anyways, I really appreciate you guys taking a part from your Saturday to watch us. You know, I thank Emmanuel. He's the man behind
He's
the
E-man.
Yeah, he's the E-man. He's working the soundboard. He's the
Who was also
producer.
our cameraman on the last request.
Last request, yeah,
That's
man.
right. Or DP.
DP. And
right.
if you want to produce something like this, please hit up his company, live stream my event. As you can see, he set up this whole new setup. It's fucking really fucking nice. I love it. I feel like Conan O'Brien someday. But if you guys want to
Put it
produce
out there in
something,
the universe.
yeah, exactly. Come on, NBC. You guys need some fucking Mexicans. All right. But anyways, thanks a lot. Next, oh yeah, and also want to thank, before I forget, I also want to thank his wife to work
yes.
the search engine, Monique.
right.
Thank you so much. So again, thank you for watching, and if you're watching this through YouTube, please like and subscribe and hit that bell. That will greatly, that'll help us out a lot. So until next time, we'll do a Halloween special for the whole month of October. That's going to be fun. Stay tuned for those details. But until next time, have a good Saturday, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Adios.
We need an outro song and an intro
Yeah,
song now.
he does have a because I was thinking about getting like like popular songs and like,
Yeah.
if we get picked up and then you have to pay the rights.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's friendly. Oh, there you go. There's that music. We're all good. Good.
All right.
All right, man.
That was fun. Yeah, that was dope.
How long did we go? 2 hours?
Oh my god.
All right, cool.
Oh my gosh, really?
Yeah.